He was, I think, an expat from, I think, Thailand.
I don't know
or
what
something,
just happened.
and he believed that the age of consent should be 0. You should be able to, yes, literally in every sense of the word. And I listened to a bunch of people have debates with him over this. I think Blair White did. I think Lauren Chen did. I think Sargon of Akkad did. And one of
if you just refresh the YouTube stream, is it the same stream or do you have to go to a different stream now? Uh-oh, you might have to go to a different stream. God damn it. I don't know why that happened. Son of a bitch. No, I didn't get banned, you guys. I just don't know if, shit. It did not. God damn it. I think they have to go to a different stream. Fuck, you know. Fucking hell. I don't know why that happened. Fuck. Damn. It just stopped working. It just fucking stopped working.
One of the horrifying things I'd noticed when people would debate him is they would kind of have all of this like moral disgust, and then some of them could do the like, well, what if you physically injure the child? But past that, nobody really had a good argument for why you shouldn't have sexual relations with children. And I'm listening to like, do we not understand like anything for why this is wrong? And so I had a 2-hour conversation, I shouldn't say conversation, it was a debate with him. We kind of argued, and I kind of gave what I would consider to be much stronger arguments for why you have like, it's not just consent, it's informed consent. You have to be of a certain age. You know, there are predatory things on this side, and when somebody is, dramatically outaging a person, et cetera, et cetera. And I kind of noticed when I started to debate these far-right people that on a broader scale, liberals in general can defend what you're talking about, like the technocratic stuff, but they lost the ability to defend the fundamental values underlying it because they're kind of assumed. And if you were too far outside of those, people just wouldn't talk to you. So everybody can have debates on like whether or not we should, or how to implement like affirmative action in some way or whatever else. But if somebody shows up and they're like, well, I think that black people are lucky to even be here, so slavery was fine. A lot of liberals are like, fuck, I don't know what the fuck to say to that. And then they just kind of like leave it to the side. And for a while that worked, but then it kind of like festered and nobody really gave any responses to any of these things. And now we're in a situation today where it's like, I don't know, but when Trump talks about, certain topics related to should immigrants be here at all, or what types of immigrants should we have, I think we're in a climate where we're much warmer to a very like race realist, hereditary approach to immigration, although like the mainstream MAGA movement hasn't
members only. No, let's just leave it open now. Let's just leave it open. It's fine.
Not said it yet, but I think they're definitely warmed up to it. Yeah, and I think that inability for liberals to kind of defend on a fundamental moral level their principles, as opposed to just arguing the technocratic stuff, I think that was a huge mistake for them to lose that. Yeah, for it to just be assumed.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. A great example of this that I have been thinking about ever since it happened was, you remember the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case, right?
I do indeed, yeah.
That got sent to El Salvador.
Not
Hard
familiar.
to believe that was in the past year. Jesus Christ.
I know. Well, around that, you're familiar with the journalist Matthew Iglesias?
Yeah.
He was talking about how it was a bad idea for Democrats to make a big deal of the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case because because Democrats at the time were polling badly on immigration, and he thought that it would raise the salience of immigration as like a topic in.
I don't know. I think he was obviously wrong about that, but I don't know. To me, that was like a reasonable take. Like, I understand why he had that take. I think he was wrong. I think it was the right thing to do for Senator Van Hollen, for example, to fly to El Salvador. But I understand like kind of the logic behind it. You can kind of see how he got there, right?
The public discourse, and he thought that would be bad for Democrats. Mm-hmm. I thought this was a horrible. I thought this was horrible. Morally, I thought it was horrible because it's a bad thing that we were doing. We exiled this guy to a gulag, to a torture camp under a weird crypto dictator in El Salvador, and And we should be able to say that that's wrong. So, just first thing, we should be able to say that that's wrong from a principled moral level.
Yeah.
But also, sometimes arguing the principle, showing why something is bad, giving a really strong example of why something is bad can help turn public opinion. And that's what we saw right after the Kilmar-Briga Garcia case, whenever Van Hollen went down to El Salvador and basically got proof of life. It made the entire thing like a media cycle for like a week. And that was the first time that Trump went below 50% on immigration.
Nice. Yeah.
For his first term. And so I think sometimes pushing for the principle, I mean, you got to be smart about it, but pushing for the principle, using good examples to show why the principle that you're supporting is correct, even when it's not a majority opinion right now, that can be a strong thing to do. Another example would be whenever, well, this is Matthew Iglesias again. He was talking about how birthright citizenship, maybe we should look at birthright citizenship, basically. And, frankly, fuck that, and fuck you for saying that. Birthright citizenship is an important thing, and it's a liberal principle that we should be able to defend. If you're born in America, you should be an American. And I don't want to compromise on that. And I don't think that we should have public intellectuals or politicians or people leading the Democratic Party and the broad liberal movement who are willing to compromise on principles that core.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's one of the complaints I have is that politics has gotten less academic and more, if you spend a lot of time like in the influencer world, you truly can analyze almost all of politics through kind of this influencer lens now because of the attention economy and social media. And I think this is tragic. I think it's a horrible thing. But it's so funny because I would get caught up with my audience arguing over certain things a lot. And one of the big arguments we would have is, so back, I don't know how much you're aware of my debating history or whatever, but I kind of go back and forth between this, like, okay, we need to be nicer to conservatives to bring them more to the fold and to be more amenable versus I hate these motherfuckers. I just want to energize my side. Everybody over here should die. These guys are terrible people. And so I think last year or the year before, I was on my very...
They are bad people. We should say that. They are bad
yes,
people.
Yes, I agree. People. Yeah. When I was on my last conservative arc, I was doing the whole, I did kind of like a Daily Wire circuit where I talked to Michael Knowles and Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and Candace Owens. And one of these arguments that would pop up my community so much would be this, like the rhetoric. They call them, what do they call them? Optics frogs in my community, where there would be like a thing that would come up. And sometimes people become a little bit too rhetorically or optically obsessed where they're like, well, I don't know if it's okay to be so mean about this thing. I don't know if it's okay to say this. And I think there's some truth to that, right? Like if some guy comes out and says something like, I don't know if we should be teaching critical race theory at every college. I don't know if we have to come out and say, well, this person is an evil fucking piece of shit, right? Maybe that's too much. But if I want to lay into or go off on people that are unironically defending the double tapping of Venezuelans that are just floating in the ocean or whatever, and be like, well, optically, I don't know if this is okay. I'm like, well, hold on. There is a moral principle here that might be worth, some kind of, not just sacrificing optics for, but pushing to create the optics. A thing that I noticed, a huge example here is Newsom and the redistricting thing. When conservative, this concept of the Overton window, I feel like liberals or Democrats, they look at the Overton window as the maximum capacity threshold for political exploration, and conservatives view it as a launching pad where, yes. And yeah, oh my God, because people don't, I don't know how you're on the far left progressive, I don't care.
I'm not smart enough to follow that. Can someone explain that to me in chat?
Stop hedging, okay? If I say things are politically tricky or whatever. The Bernie bros get this so wrong, where the Bernie bros look at Bernie versus Hillary and everything else. They're like, I can't believe the Democrats fucked them over. I can't believe the Democratic Party did this. It's so evil, the super delegates and blah, blah, blah. And nobody remembers, or it seems like they don't, Trump got nothing. Trump had no help when he was running in that early primary. Everybody hated him. The establishment hated him. The media hated him. The lawmakers hated him. All the other debaters hated him. The Fox News hosts hated him. Megyn Kelly, all the comments, everybody hated this guy. But because, I would say it's almost entirely due to luck. I give this guy no credit for political instincts. He was just entertaining. He managed to discover a new thing that the conservatives were, oh, I guess we like this speech. And then everything, especially since then, although I would argue, from the Al Gore having the election taken from him by the Supreme Court, the McConnell's taking a Supreme Court pick from us, the thing after thing after thing. I would say Republicans have always been kind of exploring, but especially as of recently, Republicans don't stop at
the critique is that liberals tend to try to be safe. Republicans are.
like, what can the public, what can they handle? It's more just like, how far can we push to see, what we can make them handle? And yeah, I think that liberals and Democrats are way too big on seeing themselves as chained down. And I really appreciate when Newsom did that redistricting thing. I almost didn't believe it when I first read that. I'm gonna get the demon lobbies. Because I was like, oh my God, somebody's memeing. That would be based. Imagine if California was like, well, Texas did it. Well, fuck it. We're going hard on our redistricting. And he did. And initially it was kind of like I don't know if this is going to go through or not. And it was a really good idea. And other states.
This guy fucking shot me, bro.
I pushed this tit for tat.
I didn't ask for this.
People are.
I didn't ask for this. You can have his loot.
Than me. But like other states, started to to stop and think. I think it was Indiana that changed their mind on like going through their redistricting. Like finally, a Democrat was like, oh well, we're going to actually respond in kind or do some big step here and see what we could do. And yeah, I think I think that Democrats need to be more willing to say, this might be a 30-40% issue right now, but morally it's so important. We can make this a 55-60% support issue.
Wait,
yeah.
What's
and
happening?
Then on the last quick thing on that, you mentioned that.
Did you hear what I told you?
Say it again.
This guy was grouped up, and he didn't have any reason to shoot you. Matter of fact, he was probably trying to get out.
No. Come here. Follow me. Look at it. Right here. This little bomber right here got me down to like almost like nothing. And then after that, he knew I was vulnerable. He took a pop at me. I shot him one time with my anvil, and he went down. I didn't even knock him out. Was he grouped up? I didn't even check.
He had an anvil 1. I'm taking his heals.
He's not gooped up. Why are you lying to me?
I told you he had the Bettina.
Oh, he had a Bettina? I don't know why the fuck this guy shot at me, but he saw me as vulnerable, and then I had to defend myself.
What do you say? Should we trust him?
He hasn't shot me at all, so.
I mean, it was 2 or 3 of us, so obviously he wasn't gonna shoot us. He was gonna die, but I don't know.
I'm here doing fucking quests.
Turn around really quick, sir. Turn around really quick.
You want me to turn around?
Turn around. Turn around. No, he doesn't have anything useful. He can live.
I fucking love this game, I swear.
That birthright citizenship thing. I think it's okay to have discussions about values of the country, but not with somebody who's so fundamentally unaligned morally with your position. Like if we want to have a conversation about affirmative action or stuff like
with
that,
any of the
or,
computers,
diversity, equity, inclusion, I think some of this stuff is a little bit cringe.
Hey, hold on. Interact with any of the computers nearby. What does that mean? Oh, hello. Oh, Jesus. Interact with any of the computers nearby. What does that mean? You guys know what that means? What computers? Computers have PC parts? Oh shit. I don't know. Probs like find a computer. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Is that it? Deliver an ion sputter.
You should be able to find those around the facility and even some other places where they worked on the
An
Exodus.
ion sputter. Wait, did I throw one of those down? Forgot what the iron, what are they called again? Sputters? Maybe he's got one. This is not what it looks like. I swear to God, this guy tried to fuck me up.
What are you talking about, dude?
Not what it looks like is what I'm saying.
It looks like you're looting a body.
He's got a ton of shit. You can have all that. I don't need it. I need an ion sputter.
Oh, I need a rotary encoder. I wish I had an ion sputter. I'd trade you.
Damn. Wait, is this a dead body right? There's another dead body right here. What the fuck is happening here?
Personally, I do, but I'm never, ever having that conversation with somebody that I know is like a bigoted racist. I'm not giving any ground to that guy because we're not coming from the same place at all. Even if we seem to have similar policy positions, there's no common ground to be found there. It's all illusory, you know?
Well, yeah, and you know, I got a little aggressive talking about Matthew Iglesias. I really shouldn't. You know, he's a net positive
For sure.
for the world. He's a net positive for the world. So Matthew Iglesias, if you're hearing this, I love you. Yeah, you would like the video I just made about Gavin Newsom, because I think this is one of the reasons why he's like constantly leading the polls whenever people are asked in 2028, like, who do you want to be the Democratic nominee? And it's because Gavin Newsom does stuff
Oh, crap.
for the world. So Matthew
I don't think I had a rotary. Did I? I thought I had to use it to open the thing.
Iglesias, if you're hearing this, I love you.
Yeah, I didn't have it. Oh, shit.
Yeah, you would like the video I just made about Gavin Newsom, because I think this is one of the reasons why he's like constantly leading the polls whenever people are asked in 2028, like, who do you want to be the Democratic nominee? And it's because Gavin Newsom does stuff.
Yes.
You know, I think the problem that liberals have, and you talked about liberals seeing themselves confined by the Overton window, you know, what's politically possible. I think liberals see themselves, in many cases, liberalism is the maintenance of the system. They've come to see themselves as the maintainers, the only true guardians of like the American system. And I think that lends itself to a kind of nervous status quoism that isn't attractive. But the thing is, whenever you're motivated by values rather than just this kind of more technocratic ideal, you can do things like redistrict your state in response to Texas, because you're not worried about maintaining that kind of consensus that hasn't really existed since at least 2016 and probably before then. You can do things like eliminate the filibuster. You can do things like pass Supreme Court reform. You can do things, you know, there's so many things you can do whenever you're motivated by the actual whenever you're motivated by actual liberal values like liberty, you know, helping people live a fulfilled, self-actualized, autonomous life, and equality, you know, ensuring that people have some sort of social equality, that they're all treated equally. Whenever you're motivated by those actual values,
you're
there's
on
so much
step
more you
4.
can do.
Yeah, I 1,000,000,000% agree. I like the one big thing that's hard for people to notice, and again, coming from the streamer world, especially you see this, or from economics, are you familiar with the concept of like opportunity cost?
Sure.
So I think that some people don't see sometimes the opportunity cost of like controlling narratives. So I read a post on this once, and oh my God, it unlocked my brain so much for this. Imagine you go onto the Destiny subreddit, and the top post is a guy who posts a picture of his golden retriever. And the post is something like, look at how cute and adorable my dog is. Come comment on my dog. And let's say you click into that thread and you want to type, you know, I think the dog is really cute. And imagine that like the top post or the first post that you see there is golden retrievers or whatever are the most vicious, disgusting dogs in the world. They run around eating, you know, old ladies and killing children. And you're like, okay, well, hold on. First, I'm not even going to get mad at this post. I'm going to go do some research. I'm going to respond to this post. I'm going to completely shut it down. I'm going to destroy the misinformation. I'm going to be well read on the topic. And you do it. In the best world where you're not emotionally dysregulated, where you shut that post down with all the best, you know, sources and facts in the world, like take a step back and understand like what just happened. You saw a thread, it made you feel good, and you wanted to go in and say that the guy's dog looked good. And now you just spent all this time fighting on some fucking bullshit, and that goodness that you could have contributed to the world is gone. When people see the conservatives, they've gotten so fucking good at this. And I hate how I'm good at this. And they have control. And when you say this, the opinion I'm giving is like controversial with everybody because nobody wants to believe this. The right, obviously they don't because they can't. And the left is so mind-fucked being afraid of being, even having the appearance of having TDS, that they'll never say anything like this. The conservatives have controlled both halves of the media for at least the last decade, if not longer. Republicans are talking about what they want to talk about, and Democrats are having to respond to what the Republicans are talking about. So even if we feel like we're winning because we've shut down the 450 millionth comment about trans, you know, 4-year-old dogs taking over schools or whatever, we're like, oh, we own that guy. Well, hold on. We didn't get to talk about any of Trump's failures. We didn't get to talk about, the sending people to CCOT. We didn't get to talk about, a million different important issues because we were so busy responding to their part of the narrative. And even if we own that part of the narrative, even if we, kill them on it, we didn't get to talk about any of the stuff that we stand for. Like every single thing in the media is either what the conservatives stand for or a response to what the conservatives stand for. And it's such a bad approach to politics, which is like you said, even as stupid as it was, and I have to make people understand this, and it sounds bad and it sounds evil, right? Because it is part of my strategy, even though I mean, it is to some extent intentional, believe it or not. When Trump is mean to people, when Trump dehumanizes people, when Trump is an asshole, there is a power to that because it dictates what people are talking about. As stupid as that Gavin Newsom press Twitter account or whatever is, when conservatives are crying about that on Fox News, and for a while a lot of them were, even if it seems like, well, it kind of just looks immature on our part, doesn't it? No, you don't understand. They're responding to us now. They're not talking about the 12th trans swimmer. They're not talking about an illegal immigrant that got a speeding ticket or a fucking parking fine. They're not talking about Trump's new plan for Greenland. Now they're responding to us. And Democrats just don't have the ability sometimes to capture the media like that because they're so fucking afraid of doing it.
Not Thumb, same to you, buddy.
I agree. Yeah, no, this is a lot of what I talk about in the Gavin Newsom video I just put out. I mean, he represents liberal anger at the last decade personified. I think that's what Gavin Newsom is. He is he's unapologetically angry, and whether or not that's like genuine, I think Gavin Newsom's most important position is probably that he wants to be president one day, but at the same time he also understands better than I think basically any Democratic politician that's in the game right now that what the Democratic primary base wants more than anything,
is that his or mine?
Any particular instantiation of ideology, they want someone that's loudly, vocally, and substantively anti-Trump
and unapologetically, be out there and have a strong position. After the last election, I brought this up to so many people.
I don't know this map, bro.
How many panels was there on? How many conversations with Ezra Klein, with every person in the media, where all the liberals like, what did we do wrong? How do we appeal to the conservative voter? What do we have to do differently, guys? Like, were we too mean? What happened? I don't know, right? And then look at the Republicans after 2020.
I don't know where I am.
We didn't even lose the election, and we're going to run the same fucking guy. And we're going to do it harder than we did last time. When was the last time on Fox News you saw, Sean Hannity or any of these subhuman vermin talk?
I have big issues with this. I'll get to it in a second here.
Talking to each other, like, how do we appeal to the liberal mind more, right? It's not even a thought in their head.
Never. No, I think liberals get too caught up. On some level, liberals, I think, hate themselves a little too much.
I have big issues with this.
Like, we don't see ourselves, and I say we, I don't think of myself this way, but I think of myself as a liberal. Liberals think of ourselves
Danny, thank you, buddy.
Fundamentally not the true Americans. Like, we've accepted this narrative that, like,
True.
The great heartland American is
Our
like
Republicans,
true American.
the good old boys in their trucks with the cowboys and everything. Yeah, true.
But people that live in cities, people that are liberals, are just as American. I think that it sucks that we've basically implicitly ceded American identity to conservatives. That's something that I think is a real problem. And it's why
the issue that I have with this is that it seems to be a focus on a perceived double standard. And so that's a problem in itself. We can spend a lot of time complaining that there are double standards. Okay. We could try to do something in our own way to attack those double standards. Okay, that's what Destiny's talking about with this like deliberate strategy of being like really provocative, and okay, that's fine. But at the end of the day, even if I just accepted that there's this, double standard that's massively benefiting Republicans, and I think there is, but just not in the way that they're talking about right now, you still have to address it. Like you still have to operate in that world where that double standard exists. So the fact that it's not fair is not a good excuse to not concern yourself with optics. I'm not saying you have to be fully optics cucked at every corner, but you should, as a politician, as a political movement, as a political party, you should absolutely consider, thoughtfully consider, carefully consider, how the public is going to respond to you, and maybe more importantly, how the Republicans are going to frame what you're going to say, you should consider those things. That's just being tactical. You can't let what Republicans are going to say determine everything you do or say, but you do have to think about it. But the other problem with, and maybe I wasn't paying attention close enough, and so maybe I misinterpreted what Destiny was saying, but another big problem I have with this is like the Republican Party, as paradoxical as it sounds, is not in a healthy place. They have not been in a quote unquote healthy place for quite some time. I look at the Republican Party, that is a party that I do not want to emulate. I think there are complex reasons as to why so many people in the American electorate have drifted towards MAGA or found their pitch to be compelling and convincing. I think we could spend fucking hours unpacking all the relevant historical context and modern context as to why that has been happening. A lot of the reasons, I think, are things that exist or happened outside of a political context. Things that are just beyond our ability to control or influence entirely. You know, a lot of it has to do with politics, but I'm just saying, you know, there's a lot of factors as to why people find their pitch compelling, but they are not in a strong place. They haven't been in a strong place in quite some time. There's like institutional advantages that they have. Like, I think like the biggest strength by far that the Donald Trump era of politics has given Republicans is the Supreme Court majority that they currently have. A 6-3 Supreme Court majority that we're probably not going to be able to undo for minimum 15 to 25 years, you know? That's by far. Okay, you can look at that outcome and say, holy shit, that really benefited Republicans. But it's almost like what Destiny said earlier, where that's just kind of luck. It's kind of luck that Donald Trump won the year that he won and benefited from Mitch McConnell holding a seat vacant for basically a year. It's definitely luck that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died right at the end of his first term and he was able to replace him. But as far as everything else, like, I think Republicans were in a way stronger position around the time that the Tea Party movement first started to like really spring up, where they were, you know, not only decimating Democrats in the midterms in 2010, but they were decimating Democrats at the local level and the state level all over the country. That was a massacre. That was a fucking massacre. 2014 was ugly too. Yeah, that's true. When you guys look at the Republican Party and you guys look at Donald Trump, like, what do you want to emulate? Like, there's maybe a couple things. Like, I for sure want, you know, whoever the Senate minority leader is, the next time this situation comes up where you have a Republican president and a Democratic Party led Senate, I for sure want them to hold that seat vacant for 4 years if need be. You know, so that, but that's more on the back end. That's Congress, not Trump. When I look at Trump, like, what am I trying to emulate? Cohesion? Well, I mean, okay, hang on a second. The cohesion with the Republican Party right now is massively overstated. Some of you guys are doing reverse Green Lantern. because he did not convince the Republican Party to, for example, not vote to release the Epstein files. It looks increasingly likely that the Democratic Party are going to extract concessions from Republicans on reining in ICE. What was the other thing? There were like two other things where he was not able to, whip his party in line. The House under Johnson is pretty well in lockstep. Wait, hang on. How many House Republicans voted to release the Epstein files? Wasn't it like over 100? All except for one? I mean, the other thing too, guys, is like Donald Trump. Listen, Donald Trump is able to pressure the Republican Party into acquiescing to his framework and pressure them into defending him in the media. But how does he do it? Through what manner does he do it? He wields fear as a political cudgel that he uses on his own party members. Okay, well, how has that actually worked out in practice? What has that led to? When we spoke to Laksha the last time he came on, he put a number to it. The Republicans have lost 22 races that should have been winnable. Those should have been winnable races. But because Donald Trump was the leader of the party, he fucked up their situation. The best example of this is in 2022, when the Republican Party lost a bunch of winnable Senate races. Blake Masters in Arizona, Kerry Lake in Arizona, Mark Robinson in North Carolina. The Republican Party have lost winnable governor's races because Donald Trump pushed out like quote unquote reasonable Republicans and tried to elevate sycophants who pushed election denialism and other crazy shit. Do you guys really want to emulate that strategy, or would you rather emulate what Biden did in terms of getting stuff done? Now, Biden himself was a bad candidate. He was like a bad politician by the time that he became president. But in terms of actually getting stuff done, in terms of actual electoral results, I know it sounds counterintuitive to say that his model is better than Trump's, but it just objectively is. You get more stuff done, you win more races when you forge a consensus through cooperation and compromise than by using Trump's strategy, which is like threaten to end people's political career with a tweet if they don't perfectly march in lockstep behind you. I gotta tell you guys, if the next Democratic Party president comes along and mirrors Trump's strategy of ruling with fear rather than, cooperation, I'm going to feel very pessimistic about the direction of the Democratic Party, because I don't think that's a winning strategy. You guys might be thinking to yourself, well, Donald Trump won. He won in 2016 and 2024. Okay, but if that was a better Republican candidate, if that was a better Republican politician, if that was a more shrewd Republican politician, those losses would have been so much worse. they would have been so much worse. Nikki Haley, I think, in normal times, let's say in an alternative universe where Donald Trump never entered the political space, Nikki Haley would have beat Kamala by, I think, way bigger margins. John Kasich, I think, would have beat Kamala Harris by like 10 fucking points, you know? You're way off base about the conversation you're half listening to. Okay, I'm open to that. What do you mean? I think Destiny's conversation was about media and social media. If Trump was more competent, we would absolutely be screwed. We're only doing as well because he is as bad as he is. Without that, we're in a lot of trouble. Hutch, I dispute that. I actually think that I'm more normal Republican would not have done nearly as well, and the reason why Trump did as well as he did is because he's a completely insane person. I mean, sure. I thought about that a little bit, like as I was saying it out loud. Like maybe the fact that he was so fucking insane was the reason why he positioned himself so well in 2016. It's not arguing with Hutch, it's arguing with everything that Hutch thinks is going into the Democratic Party and making it burn. The Democratic Party right now is not burning. What are you talking about? You need to move beyond approval numbers. Like, approval numbers are bad. You don't want approval numbers in the 20s. But there's no basis to say that the Democratic Party is burning right now. We are demolishing them right now. Like, utterly demolishing them. I think you're missing the point. It's not about being the same as Trump. It's about putting the right on the back foot instead of constantly being on the back foot. I think the way I'm trying to push back against that right now is that the Republican Party right now, they are on the back foot. Trump is on the back foot. His administration is on the back foot. The Republican Party is on the back foot. And the same thing happened after Trump won in 2016. It was basically right away. Like, it was basically day one of his presidency, starting day one. He spent his whole first administration largely on the back foot. We're only demolishing them assuming that the midterms happen, right? Yeah, I think you should assume that the midterms are going to happen, guys. I think you should assume that the midterms are going to happen. I did not see this. What is this? Americans voted for Trump but never supported Trumpism. A new poll from the Pew Research Center this week finds that 37% of Americans approve of the job Donald Trump is doing as president, but only 27% say they support most or all of his policies. This reminded me of an article I wrote at 5:38 in February 2025 titled "Americans Voted for Trump but Don't Support His Agenda." Since I wrote that piece, according to Pew, the percentage of adults who support most or all of Trump's policies has fallen 8 points, including a 9-point drop among Republicans. Now, just a bare majority of Trump's own party say they support all or most of his plans and policies. Pew is not the only pollster to find a difference between support for Trump in general and support for his policies. Earlier this month, CBS News found that 50% of adults say they approve of what Trump is trying to accomplish on immigration, while only 37% approve of how he's going about doing it. This discrepancy is like, it gives us a really clear blueprint as far as the Democratic Party goes. Like, as far as Democratic Party messaging on immigration goes, what do you guys think it should be moving forward? I just want to know where you guys are at. What do you think Democrats should run on, specifically when it comes to immigration enforcement? What do you think they should run on in 2026 and 2028? I think it's a really basic formula. Open borders. Yes. Yes. pathway to citizenship safely. So I'm talking about immigration enforcement, which is a slightly, it's a distinct kind of subcategory of immigration. So like immigration has different branches. You have like overall immigration policy, you know, like talking about like how many immigrants should we allow in the country every year, you know, like how many is, you know, like, and then you have border security, and then there's like immigration enforcement. Like, what is the messaging on that? Not affordability. I think, and I would bet really good money that this is what Democrats are gonna run on, because Donald Trump is like showing, he's making the blueprint really obvious for what Americans are asking for in terms of immigration enforcement. Americans are asking, broadly, Americans are asking that violent criminals, rapists, gang members, they want them deported. If there's anybody in the country that are committing serious crimes, particularly violent crimes, Americans want them aggressively pursued and deported. And they don't want roving bands, masked ICE agents, massive surges of ICE agents patrolling American streets. I mean, we already knew this. Like, to be honest with you, this was sort of Obama and Biden's stated policy, was to focus on violent criminals. But the Democrats, I think, moving forward, need to be much more forward facing and explicit about like run on really hawkish language about violent criminals. I think the 2028 nominee for the Democratic Party, they're going to get really aggressive in their rhetoric and say, we are going to find every dangerous, violent criminal that's in the country illegally, and we are going to move like lightning to remove them. Alcatraz, wait, are you him? Are you the guy that's been in my replies saying the fucking dumbest things? Are you him? Is he you? Do Hasan people think about the shit that they say to the people that criticize Hasan, and do they not understand that that could just as easily be used on Hasan? So if you say like 600 viewers versus 90,000 viewers, right? So the premise here is that if you have more viewers, that means you're more correct, right? That seems to be the logic. If you have more viewers, then you're more correct, right? That's kind of what you're going with there. Well, if that's what we're saying, then that must necessarily mean that Asmongold and Joe Rogan are more correct than Hasan, right? That's what that means, right? Right? Isn't that what we're saying here? If you're going to start throwing around view counts, that necessarily means that Asmongold is more correct than Hasan. Now, I don't believe that. I personally think that you could be a 25 viewer, Andy, and have wildly correct and based takes. And somebody that has tens of thousands of viewers can have really bad takes. Just think about the shit that you say before you say it, for Christ's sakes. That's all I'm asking. Just think about it for a second. Shock Doctor with 10 months. We should know the attacks to counter them. The attacks to what now? Oh, we got to stop doing the fucking... Guys, we can't do DMCA stuff. Cloud says, do you think there will still be a huge border emphasis by the end of this admin? Dems never wanted action this aggro, and no way Trump won't declare mission accomplished to the base at least. Well, the border is not really an issue right now. The border numbers are very low. So I don't think border policy is the salient issue for voters right now. The issue that is salient with voters right now is the way that ICE is conducting their operations, the way that DHS is conducting their operations, and who they're targeting. The border wasn't even a salient issue in 2024. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. You won't win the narrative on immigration. Why not? Why not? Ooh, this is going to piss some people off. The Kamala strat, that's the blueprint, guys. Like it or not, that's going to be the blueprint. Her credibility was undermined because she was a part of the administration. But she ran on tough enforcement against drug dealers, transnational criminals, gang members, violent criminals, while also running on humane policy and a pathway to citizenship for people that are in the country illegally that don't commit crimes. It was a pro-immigration and pro like tough border security and tough vetting kind of policy. That is gonna be the strat. Patio, LOL, rerun a losing strategy again. Brilliant. Okay, all right, hang on. I've asked this question a lot. I've asked lefties this question a lot. Okay, candidate AOC is on the debate stage in 2028. Okay, she's on a stage with Gavin Newsom, JB Pritzker, Josh Shapiro, Kamala, 5 other people, Mark Kelly, Ossoff, Pete, a couple more people, okay? They're all standing on the debate stage. Who is this a question for again? What was the name again? Patio. Okay. Here's the question that she's going to get asked. And I want you to tell me what the answer should be, okay? She's going to be asked, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, many voters felt like the border was too chaotic under the Biden administration, and they felt as though that the national security was compromised because of the chaos at the border. American voters have been voicing their concerns about violent criminals that are in the... What is your policy platform to address their concerns? Go. What does she say? Abolish ICE. No, hang on. Be serious. Be serious. Be so serious with me. Like, you can do abolishing ICE, but you still have to answer this question. You're still going to have to, they're going to be, I'm telling you guys, they are going to be asked that question. And if you want to be the nominee for the Democratic Party to become president of the United States or to run for president of the United States, you have to have a thoughtful answer prepared for that question. So what is the answer to that question? What is your plan to address people's concerns about who is coming into the country while also creating humane immigration policy? It's going to be something like that, okay? What do you think AOC's answer should be? Quote, our national security is compromised by the Trump administration's foreign policy, which undermines stability in nations to our south and displaces people who come here looking for a better future. Instead of persecuting them and blocking them from entering the country, we should make pathways to citizenship more efficient and work with our neighbors instead of undermining their economies and deposing their leaders. My friend, I think AOC goes from polling at like 12% in October of 2027 to 1% with that answer, because you're not actually answering the question. You're not actually answering the question. You think that an electorate that moved right on immigration when they saw the border chaos, you think that telling them, actually, this isn't even a problem. It sounds like what you're saying is, let them all in. Let everybody in. It's actually not even a problem. That's not what you said. Wait, that is what you said. You just said, our national security is compromised by the Trump administration's foreign policy, which undermines stability in nations to our south and displaces people who come here looking for a better future. Instead of persecuting them and blocking them from entering the country, we should make pathways to citizenship more efficient and work with our neighbors instead of undermining their economies and deposing their leaders. But that doesn't answer the question. What are you going to do, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, if the numbers at the border spike to the levels that occurred when Biden was president? It's going to be some kind of question like that. You can't just say, well, actually, it's the United States' fault for, I guess, everything, all the migrant surges. It's actually all our fault, and we should it's actually not a problem. Stop persecuting them and just let them in the country. That, my friend, I don't know what about the current electorate and how they voted indicates that they're open to that kind of a thing. Like, what is actually wrong? Here's a better question. What is actually wrong with Kamala's proposed immigration policy that she ran on? Aggressively prosecute and deport transnational criminals, violent criminals, drug dealers, while providing a pathway to citizenship for people that are in the country illegally but don't commit crimes. What is actually wrong with that answer? What's the problem with that? Do you not want violent criminals deported from the country? That seems like a pretty decent situation. No, I'm not being wildly disingenuous. I'm asking you a question. What is actually wrong with that policy? Because I think that's where about 90% of the country is. And I think it's just like good policy to deport like actual violent criminals. And then provide a path to amnesty for people that are not criminals, paying taxes, these kinds of things. The simple answer is surging asylum judges that get the process speedy, efficient, and the rate of incoming asylum seekers controlled, prosecute and deport criminals, find companies hiring illegal immigrants. Well, I don't think that's ever going to happen in a million years, by the way. The Trump administration also says its policy is deporting violent transnational criminals. What's the daylight? Well, what is actually happening? The American people can see it. They can see what's happening. First of all, that's not what the Trump administration said. The Trump administration did not say that they're only deporting violent criminals. Tom Homan said everyone's on the table. Your abuela, your primo, your coworker. That's what they said. It's not the same policy. And Americans can see ICE officers and CBP officers, detaining American citizens, sending people with no criminal records to CCOT. They can see that happening. They can read reporting of Stephen Miller issuing quotas to these agencies. There's reporting this week. I don't know if you guys read the article. Was it Axios? New York Times? Stephen Miller is holding daily calls with the heads of various agencies, putting a huge amount of pressure on them to juice up their deportation numbers. And what we're seeing in the streets is a product of that. The increased ICE presence, the harassing of U.S. citizens, the shooting 2 Americans. AOC should just mention the violent criminals and say that every Democrat wants them gone, but the Trump administration is instead breaking their promise and acting with impunity. She should promise to properly and humanely enforce immigration laws. Bing, bong, boom. Easy peasy. I agree. But I think maybe the only difference between what you and me are saying is that I think they need to be like a little bit more hawkish rhetorically. Like here's my fantasy, okay? AOC gets asked that question on a debate stage, and then AOC has names memorized. I want to make sure that there are no violent criminals in this country that should not be in this country, that they're not bringing anything into this country except for death and suffering and da 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 da. So-and-so and so-and-so state did this thing, and so-and-so and so-and-so. That is unacceptable. We, in my administration, will work tirelessly to make sure that these violent criminals are like that. Like, they need to be a bit hawkish when it comes to focusing on like violent criminals. That is something that is going to click with fucking voters, okay? Voters are going to hear that and they're going to go, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. If you can present a policy that can help a 5-year-old get out of human detainment from the United States government, I will gladly listen. That would just be about enforcement policy at DHS. That would just be about establishing policy within DOS or DHS that you don't like detain 5-year-olds. Excel, only about 25% of immigrants being deported have a conviction, especially, and specifically only 5% have violent convictions. Article from November 24th, 2025. Yeah. The Democrat needs to just get up there and say, we can all see what's happening. We all know it's wrong. This is totally unacceptable. This is profoundly un-American. My administration will work tirelessly to remove violent threats from the country. But we will also not send ICE into neighborhoods for political purposes with arbitrary quotas to terrorize the local population. We cannot forget what makes America America, and we cannot forget our rich history of immigration and how much immigrants have contributed to, our everything from our economy to our culture to everything. Like, It's that easy. That's all you got to do. But you can't do this thing that like people like Hasan are doing, where it's like, what's your solution? Yeah, just abolish ICE. Let's just leave it at that. Well, actually, it's America's fault. All these countries are destabilized. We should humanely, we should stop persecuting them. Like, that shit is not gonna work. You have to pair it with rhetoric that addresses the question. What do you do if 800,000 people show up in 1 month at the border? What are you going to do? We know what Biden did. What are you going to do? The witch's persona with $20, tankies and MAGA, need to learn that voting for their own values is getting people killed. The focus on voting should be should be what steers the ship best for the constituency. What led to MAGA is not caring unless it happens to them. Thank you so much for $20, buddy. November with 500 bits. IMO, Immigration Enforcement, should be established as an independent administrative agency like the FDA, FAA, not subordinate to the president's cabinet and accountable to Congress. Ooh, I don't hate that idea. I never even really thought of that. Danny, thank you so much for 72 months. Paths found. I don't know if I said thank you for the tier 1 membership. Thank you, buddy.
It's why, you know, after every election we go like, oh my gosh, we're so out of touch with America. We're so out of touch with America. We need to go do safaris to little cafes in Iowa and figure out why the rural people hate us. And it's like,
could you imagine, that message the other way around? Could you imagine a liberal going, why don't any of these country fucks come into the city and talk to us sometime? You could never even say that. Liberals would crucify you for saying that.
You think Fox News has ever done, like, we went on a trip to a New York City bodega to figure out why, you know, so many people vote for Democrats.
Yeah, never.
I wonder if they've ever done that.
Well, no. They just pull videos from... There's this guy called Mark Rice, I think, and other people who do like the liberal on the street interviews where you edit them to be as stupid as possible.
Do you think ICE is necessary? Why, when it's relatively new in America? I don't think ICE is necessary. I think having some kind of enforcement mechanism is obviously necessary for any country. For any country. I don't know how anybody could possibly disagree with that, but I never said ICE was necessary, by the way.
Possible, so they don't know the answer to anything because they'll just all hate America or whatever, right? Yeah. What does the average liberal think? Well, we found an 18-year-old white college girl who goes to Yale, and we interviewed her, and she's the president of the Social Justice Warrior Club. And it's like, okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, this is the average liberal. Okay, chief. Yeah, so stupid. I did a show yesterday with a guy called Harry Cole, something the West. It's some program on Fox News. It probably airs in a few days. But I bring this up because whenever people bring up problems with liberal places, now rather than conceding on those, because I think I'm fair or whatever, now I fight on the other end. It's like, well, hold on. This guy, you know, he rattled off all these things. It's like, well, isn't America doing great now? And blah, blah, blah. Like our GDP has grown so much and the stock market, you know, is still doing okay. And then I think like 1 or 2 topics later, he brings up, he's like, well, I don't know about Gavin Newsom running for president. You know, like California's in a lot of trouble. And that's like a truism that California sucks, by the way. Like you just are supposed to accept that. And I love pushing back on some of those truths. Like, well, hold on. What do you mean California sucks? Well, look at the problems. I was like, well, you just earlier talked about the stock market growth and GDP growth. Where do you think all that comes from? Not just California's GDP, the entire country. We're all thriving on AI.
How do you get over there
now, right? There's like 6 companies that are making up half the gains of the S&P 500. Maybe not that dramatic, or maybe almost that dramatic. Like this is all Silicon Valley. This isn't the good old farmers from fucking Iowa and Arkansas, or whatever else. These are tech nerds and probably a lot of trans women in fucking San Francisco. Like that's where all these gains are coming from. How are you going to sit here and attack California for all these issues when like 8 out of the, you know, top 15 schools in the country are all UC schools, and they, you know, the economy is huge and the opportunity is huge. Yeah, it's way too much of the liberals being desperate to win the approval. I see this in like, oh God, and like Jake Tapper, where it's like, please, every time they open their mouth, all I hear is, please don't label me as having Trump derangement syndrome. Please don't say I have TDS. Please don't. Look at how fair I'm being. My 50th, my 50th Noah, the poll guy, my 50th Noah.
How do you get over there?
How senile he was. The guy that Nate Silver, not Noah, Nate Silver. Yeah. Oh God, it drives me crazy.
Yeah. And I think part of why this happens is because a lot of liberals don't think of themselves in terms of the values that they have. And I think whenever you're thinking about yourself in terms of the values that you have, rather than the, you know, specific policy positions that you're trying to get, or rather I should say, because the policy positions are very important, obviously, but I think they should be motivated by a deeper commitment. a deeper commitment to values. And I think whenever you're not motivated like that, it makes you insecure. It makes you maybe even subconsciously insecure. It makes you feel like you're not on as firm a footing to say, like, actually, I am right. Actually, our solution to this problem, our way of, defining America, increasingly that's under question. How are we going to define America? Is it going to be, a nation committed to certain ideals that we all share, or is it going to be a nation where we all have to swear allegiance first and foremost to the, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants?
Or the evangelical WWF ceremony havers after assassinations or whatever, the whole Erica Jesus.
I don't know how the fuck. I don't know this map, bro.
But that's why I think values are so important. And I think it would really help liberals sell a better story, because it would make us seem a little less like we hate ourselves, a little more self-confident, a little more interested in something beyond, scrambling for, just normalcy. I think liberals during the Trump era, a lot of liberals have gotten into this framing that is fundamentally conservative. And I think that's a bad position for liberals to be in, because it's not where we thrive. Liberalism is a fundamentally, and people probably on the far left would disagree with this, but liberalism is a fundamentally forward-looking ideology. It's an ideology that believes in progress, both individually, making people better, giving people the tools to make themselves better. That's a part of liberalism that I think is often overlooked too. But it's about making society better, it's about making people better, it's about doing all these things. And so whenever we are put in the position of just having to defend the stuff that Donald Trump is, trashing or whatever, it's a naturally uncomfortable position for a liberal to be in, because there's other things that we would like to do. First and foremost, we don't necessarily want to, protect everything about the American system. We want to change the American system to be more liberal. We want to do things to make it better. But a lot of liberals, and not completely without understanding, have been put in this position where they've had to just kind of be the defenders of the status quo, or they've found themselves in that position, maybe without even their own knowledge. And I think that's a position we need to get out of.
Yeah, one of the things that I talk about for a lot of the liberal stuff too, and I don't know if it was because it was like a status quo thing, which I think a lot of these issues are unfortunately multi-variate. Like there's just a lot of things that impact this. Like when you talk about status quo defenders, how we kind of have to, I think a big part of that nobody talks about is the fact, because this is another truism. It's a truism that liberals like to spend and conservatives are more, like responsible with the government budget. That's not fucking true at all. That's just bullshit, right? Or that liberals are bad for the economy and help welfare and Republicans are better. Like, that's not true at all, right? There's that clip of Donald Trump in the 90s or whatever saying, well, I think the economy's, kind of better under Democrats, Like I talk to some people and like even things that I kind of just take for granted. I was like, the last budget surplus was under Bill Clinton, right? Like Doge and the one big beautiful bill, like none of these things are cutting any part of it. Even the fact that the Cato Institute just did a huge like 3-part write-up on the border and everything. Even the fact that like Trump is good on the border is not really that true. Like his third year saw more illegal immigrants crossing than the entire last term of Obama. But like COVID obviously saved him there. COVID, sometimes they talk about it when it comes to immigration. Other times they never talk about it when it comes to his economy. But yeah, you run into this issue where a big thing that I try to stress to liberals is like people defend liberal values as like these very lame and lofty responsibilities rather than like these opportunities for really cool things. Like when it comes to stuff like diversity, I think this is a really big one. Like when you hear diversity, you have to okay, what do I need to do? What words am I not allowed to say? Like, what the fuck you have to figure this out. And it's like, that's not really the case. Like, we have a lot of really awesome stuff in this country. I have a lot of awesome people in my community. I've been in a lot of awesome podcasts with a huge diversity of different people. And that like literal actual melting pot of all the different people that can come to the United States and do all the crazy shit here, whether we're talking on like an entertainment level, all these British people that sneak in here with their American accents and act for us, or we're talking about on a tech level where South African white people like Elon Musk come in and set up, revolutionary companies like SpaceX and Tesla. These are like cool opportunities that the United States is uniquely positioned to take advantage of. But whenever we talk about all the cool things that liberalism has to offer, it feels like we treat them as like shackles or burdens sometimes, instead of talking about them, I think, in a little more of a positive light, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of liberals are so afraid of being seen as like elitist. You know, we're afraid to talk about the positive virtues of these things for the same reason that we're afraid to talk about ourselves as being, you know, fundamentally as American as the people in the Iowa diner. You know, we're afraid of being seen as like out of touch elitists. But, you know, the truth is, if we have values and ideas that we think are better, we're not going to sell them by pretending that they suck, you know, by talking about like, oh, well, actually, you know, this kind of sucks. And,
this guy.
you know, that no one likes that. You know, if we're going to defend the idea of pluralism, you know, the idea that a lot of different people, you know, there's a defense of pluralism in the Federalist Papers where they talk about, I forget which one it is now, my government teacher would kill me. But, you know, they talk about having a big country because the reasoning at the time, or one of the popular thoughts at the time, was having a big republic made up of all different kinds of people would be like bad because it would be too fractious. There would be too many different kinds of people fighting. And one of the Federalist Papers makes the argument that actually, you know, having a big republic filled with all different kinds of people can make things better because you can get, you know, there's more opportunity to have better people rise to the top. The different faction, you know, there's going to be less chance for one faction to overpower another faction. You know, there's all these advantages to pluralism, and liberals, you know, and I would count the founding fathers generally as liberals. They would make positive arguments for these things. They would make positive arguments for them. They wouldn't just be like, oh, well, actually, maybe, you know, maybe everything kind of sucks, and maybe liberals are, you know, we're doing that kind of thing. You know, it sucks. There's a big quote, or there's a fun.
You know, I feel like we got a lot of this discussion already, or this topic already, with Ryan Getty's video on the topic. So, kind of retreading kind of similar ground here. So, all right, what part in the Pisco reaction did Conduit zero in on? He said that there was one particular moment. You guys remember the timestamp? It was like 3 hours and something. I don't remember what it was. We'll queue that up until I get a fucking good spawn for this fucking material that I need. I'll grab it 1 second. Thank you, buddy. You should get a bit of the start to see how Pisco went into this. Okay. You kind of get stuck there for like a little bit. And then he gets kind of sidetracked. And then he starts like around here. Watch a little bit of the front, but there was a particular timestamp that Conduit said 310 is Conduit's request. The actual start is 159. 310, 159. Let's watch a little bit of the start to see how he kind of like initially reacts to the video. And then we'll skip to the timestamp.
Then Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell, the Grim Reaper.
She's performed exceptionally well, however, and the only area the Dem establishment really seems to care about, that would be money.
That's not a compelling message.
Charles and Jamal have surged on the strength of clear-eyed messages about racial and economic justice.
This is as good as you were going to do when you don't
What's up with the audio?
really believe in anything.
For some reason, the National Democratic Party establishment has thrown all in with their white opponents.
Even though the lefties got reelected in gigantic margins and the Blue Dogs got wiped out.
Isn't it funny how black voters should be central and determinative as long as they are acting in concert with the whims and desires of the establishment?
Honestly, this is as close as you can get to a validation of populist left politics.
All their talk about valuing diversity is so much bullshit,
And probably the only things that they're going to get done
and it serves to further their corporate and imperialist agenda.
are more right-wing priorities or center-right priorities.
I could swear that they fight harder against any sort of Bernie-style progressive.
I fear they're going to cut.
Hey guys, hey, the audio mixing here was this sorry, Conduit audio mixing.
Social Security and Medicare.
Than they do against the similarly corporate and military industrial complex friendly Republicans.
We have to do it. We have no choice. And then act like it's a win.
Oh, it's almost like black Americans, like all Americans, are not a monolith.
Conduit's audio is getting better. You should listen. If he's got complaints about the audio now, that first video was a little rough.
The fact of the matter is, I know this is so dark to say, but I think it's true. I don't think it matters what Hamas does at this point, because Israel is they're gonna continue with the genocide, and they're gonna try to complete it. And so if they give up the hostages or if they don't give up the hostages, the end result is effectively gonna be the same. That they're gonna be obliterated, they're gonna be wiped off the map.
Son of an emerald horse.
Starting again!
Apparently, I can't go more than a few days without seeing something that drives me up the wall. Maybe I need to go on a social media diet. But whatever the reason, I am now aware that apparently Matt Gaetz on Tim Pool's show
That is so freaking weird.
Oh, wait.
Literally making the choice on the spot whether or not they're going to buy this congressman. I mean, it's just...
is an adequate source of information so long as it's against a group I already don't like.
Wait, this is where I need to spawn.
This is just me and what I like. I need to know, so what is the thrust of this? Also, while it's most likely the title of the clip, Gaetz revealed humiliating QR code APAC donor ritual is just search engine optimization framing. Humiliation ritual as a term has its origin in anti-Semitic QAnon conspiracy theories. I didn't fucking know that. And I've used the term humiliation ritual before. What is the central premise of this video? And okay, they're talking about Matt Gaetz.
You know, I don't actually think.
Wait, let's just make sure.
Apparently, Matt Gaetz on Tim Pool's show drives me up the wall. Maybe I need to go on a social media diet.
Maybe you need to go on a social media diet.
But whatever the reason, I am now aware that apparently Matt Gaetz on Tim Pool's show.
That is so freaking weird.
Literally
Apparently, Matt Gaetz, what does he do?
making the choice on the spot whether or not they're going to buy this congressman. I mean, it's just...
is an adequate source of information so long as it's against a group I already don't like. You know, I don't actually think.
Well, what did he say? What did he say?
The catty kind of gossip a lot of people enjoy is that harmful, at least on the consumer side. The he said, she said about what they did kind of thing. But the ways it's become intertwined with political discourse is something I've been wary of for years.
So much bullshit.
We'll get into that. For now, Crystal Ball and Kyle Kowinski,
The only buried news team.
have been in the political commentary space for years at this point. Kyle has his YouTube channel Secular Talk with now 2 million subscribers and 12,000 patrons on Patreon, and has appeared places like The Young Turks,
I don't know.
and Joe Rogan.
And on Live and Learn.
While Crystal Ball has moved through places like MSNBC, The Hill,
So much bullshit.
and now has
That's Miss Crystal Ball to you.
her YouTube channel Breaking Point with her previous co-host Sagar Jetty with Ryan Grimm and Emily Jashinsky. People want to hear what they have to say.
So much bullshit.
But maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. I don't like passing judgment just based off of individual clips that get passed around potentially out of context. So I watched a week of both their shows, and I'm going to tell you what I learned. And if you like
Oh, okay. All right. So they watched the week of the show, and it's gonna like give a rundown of it. All right, cool.
this video and want to see more,
And this is a Hasan
like it,
thing.
you can subscribe to my Patreon. No obligation.
This is
I'm still
Hasan
figuring out
what?
perks to offer there
What is
anyway. So
that?
if you have any ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments. I would genuinely appreciate it.
Whole bunch of breaking news to deliver for you here. We got a lot of stuff going on, and most of it sucks ass.
We begin in Kyle's spacious backyard as he starts in on Trump blowing up Venezuelan and apparently Colombian boats in the name of stopping quote-unquote narco-terrorists who have yet to be proven as such.
The most recent boat that they blew up, according to the Colombian president, was a Colombian fishing boat, and they killed a number of Colombian citizens. The Trump
True.
regime is trying to overthrow Maduro
That's what the Colombian president alleged.
and steal the oil, by the way, as Trump admitted in speeches publicly.
Okay, would we invade Venezuela for their oil? This is a little complicated, so I'm going to explain it as simply as I can. Venezuela's oil is shit. Their refineries are shit. Their export process is shit. Purportedly, with Marco Rubio and Stephen Miller's influence, this is really just about immigration issues.
Those things don't contradict that Trump's purported basis for some of these strikes, and indeed, the strikes weren't just limited in the sense of for the drug stuff.
Did he put out
They
that video
also did
before or after they actually invaded?
interdictions in the middle of the sea. And then Trump, I don't know if this was published after we got Maduro, literally said it was for the oil. And there are some reports that he's been like fixated on the oil like he used to be when it came to ISIS and Iraq. And so you saying, well, it doesn't make any sense to go get the oil, doesn't mean that actually isn't part of the influence on Trump, who is making the ultimate decision. And so I fail to see how this is bad reporting on Kyle's, or a bad commentary on Kyle's behalf, if that's at least one of the official reasons for our policy against Venezuela is how they're skirting different regulations and sanctions by the Americans. That was the basis for one of the warrants to seize some of these shippings. And indeed, when the invasion ended up happening, that was the purported rationale. And it's something the administration has been talking about. And so, yeah, whether it's wise or not, we're all saying it's fucking dumb, but you haven't contradicted him at all.
Drugs and Venezuela's government.
Like, at least back during
And this is also him shitting on Trump, so that's an example of him shitting on Trump.
the Bush era, which was fucking horrible, they had to at least try to lie to you.
Then he lays into...
And again, that is also true, that the pretext here is thin, and it's him acknowledging the thin pretext and the fact that they haven't like built it up in this profound way with respect to weapons of mass destruction.
Maria Corina Machado, the opposition leader in Venezuela, because she won the Nobel Peace Prize and dedicated it to Trump.
They probably knew she was going to turn around and dedicate it to him, and they gave it to her anyway.
But asked Netanyahu to regime change her country? I am so curious about the context there.
Begged Benjamin Netanyahu to invade her own country to topple Maduro.
She didn't beg Netanyahu to invade Venezuela.
La población de Venezuela necesita protección internacional contra el ataque generalizado. And I'm reading the original Spanish. Sistemático.
That sexy Spanish accent. Let's go. Fucking hell, I'm getting just the worst spawns. God damn it.
So it's a huge danger. There's a generalized
Wait,
and actual
did you get both of these?
threat. That this is not just in terrorism and narco trafficking. It's a real threat for other countries, among others, and especially Israel. So this is to Benjamin Netanyahu from Machado. The Venezuelan population needs protection international against the generalized attack and systematic attack to the Venezuelan region. This is what is demonstrated in, I forget this organization. What is the acronym? Fuck the American acronym. Just get it. OE, what is it? Organization of American States. What is it? There's like an international, I think. The OAS, right?
Wait, does Pisco pause more than me and longer than I do? Hammer with $5. Sorry for the Rickroll in my last dono. I decided to see what you think of these being the main pillars of the 2028 Dem platform: healthcare, public option, hair tax on people who aren't bald, new bracket for billionaires. Ooh, I think that needs some work. I got to be honest with you. Das Vidani with $5. It's also a negative message on America to say it's our fault, we should stop. Any answer on immigration should be pro-America message. Yeah. That's a good point. I agree. America bad is not necessarily the play with like normies.
Yeah. Before the International Criminal Court. This has been the basis for new countries, including Argentina, to denounce the regime under international principle, I think.
Fucking hell.
We are very grateful for this gesture, which is necessary to solve like the Venezuelan tragedy. I mean, she's basically looking at that they need international help from Israel. Okay.
She sent a letter to him for support in passing her UN.
For this reason, I'm sending letters to some of the main world leaders with the same request. Okay, so what's the criticism here?
And asked Netanyahu to regime change the Nobel Peace Prize and dedicated it to Trump.
They probably knew she was going to turn around and dedicate it to him, and they gave it to her anyway.
But asked Netanyahu to regime change her country? I am so curious about the context there.
Begged Benjamin Netanyahu to invade her own country to topple Maduro.
She didn't beg Netanyahu to invade Venezuela. She sent a letter to him for support in passing a UN resolution to establish regime change in Venezuela because Maduro is a dictator. That letter was also...
So is the criticism that he focused on Israel?
In 2018, Kyle talks about Republicans announcing the No Kings protests.
We got to talk about this war on free speech, man.
Speaking from the future,
Wait, what's the criticism there? Is the criticism that it's the focus on Israel? I mean, I don't really know what his whether the focus. I mean, I'm guessing he went hard on Israel, but we don't get that from this video.
In 2018, Kyle talks about Republicans announcing the No Kings protests.
We got to talk about this war on free speech, man.
Speaking from the future, I'm glad those went off without a hitch, and bloviating about the people involved being Hamas-supporting Marxists didn't turn into actual crackdowns.
4 to 6 million Americans who partook in those protests, and according to them, you're all terrorists. So I think we know who the good guys are in this scenario, and it's not the fucking feds. I'll tell you that much for sure.
So this is him shitting on Trump?
After that, Kyle's pissed at Democrats for voting for the military budget. First, he praises the ones that were willing to vote for cuts.
So I gotta give credit to these Democrats who go to the right way.
But he has a message for the rest.
What the
Yeah.
fuck is wrong with you? The guy is a fucking fascist. Almost all the Republicans and Fetterman.
What's wrong with this?
Like all of you guys, I'm sorry, You're just evil.
After that, we get to Barry Weiss taking over CBS.
You gotta let him. You gotta let him cook a little bit.
And they want to turn it into a Zionist factory.
You gotta let him cook a little bit. You gotta let him like make his point.
Is there a question of that? Is there a question of that?
This Zionist billionaire wants to make sure, hey guys, you need to be pro-Israel, and don't be so hard on Trump. You're gonna get genocide apologia.
Is there a question that Barry Weiss has been putting her thumb on the scale for her ideological priors? Is there a question that Barry Weiss is a supporter of Israel?
Holocaust apologia.
Don't you say that. Don't you ever say that.
Okay, you may disagree with his characterization of the genocide. You might disagree with that, but what is the point?
And remember, guys, this is at the same time that Zionists just took over TikTok as well, and they're sort of purging the pro-Palestine content over there.
Kyle apparently believes that because Larry Ellison bought TikTok, some Zionist millionaire is going to scrounge together the entire GDP of Israel in order to buy YouTube from Google.
YouTube is one of the last platforms standing that, hasn't been totally taken over by Zionist hacks. Some Zionist billionaire could offer Google or Alphabet an offer they can't refuse. Tell them a number they can't refuse.
U.S. tourism is down substantially because Trump's a prick who pissed off Canada and the rest of the world.
That's been found. I mean, that's been. I guess I don't understand.
In particular, Phil.
Tourism has been down from those countries.
35% in September alone.
And also, he canceled a massive solar energy project.
Like economic self-sabotage.
Also, here's where I noticed
all shitting on Trump.
That the reflection
Wait,
of
he's
laptop in
not.
his glasses makes it look
Okay,
like
I think I understand what's happening here.
After that, we learned that ICE has been trying to impersonate day laborers to find illegal immigrants, and I hate that I find
think
this
I understand
22
what's
Jump Street
happening here.
impression of an impression so funny.
Hey, Holmes. We sure are illegal, aren't we, I Oh, yeah, we are, Holmes. We're totally illegal and stuff, man. My name is Jeff. This is what they're doing.
Kyle provides no evidence for any of his motive calls here. With respect to what? Okay, they're putting people in charge who are ideologically aligned and are pro-Israel. That's not a question, is it?
I keep getting fucking
Is that a
shitty
question?
spawns, man.
U.S. variety of
I just want ion splitter or splitter, whatever the fuck it is.
Someone's never seen the producers.
I'll myself. I'll to me.
Let's talk a little bit about
the crowd
what's
is
going on
out
with Israel.
Oh no.
For my own purposes, I'm not going to investigate every single attack unless there's some specific circumstance or context. It's possible that some accusations, if they are included, can be effectively countered, but that's
But decidedly anti-Trump, decidedly like against the current regime.
Okay, all right. I think I
Israel,
understand what's happening here.
But decidedly not just dem bashing.
Point of clarification.
Bashing Fetterman, bashing people who are funding the government's projects, including its international interventions.
Not me trying to preemptively discredit the attacks themselves. The main issue I'm going to take with Kyle's Israel reporting is much stupider. Because for all intents, his primary source is Twitter.
Tommy Vietor points out Israeli government officials are talking about the Gaza ceasefire very differently than Trump. Yeah, Kyle, leader. First thing we're doing is...
So, this is him citing someone's characterization and impression.
All right, I think I understand what's going on here. So, if you're familiar with Conduit's videos, the premise is pretty much the same, like the last 5 videos. He'll go day by day, and then he'll just kind of relay what he watched. So it's not the case that everything he's saying in terms of describing what the content was is in service to some narrative. He usually will watch a day and then kind of go beat by beat about what was discussed. And then, at the end of the day, there's like an interstitial that's sort of like kind of hitting at like a different kind of broader narrative. But it really is just like he's just telling you what he watched. And I think Pisco is treating this video as though everything that Conduit is saying, like literally everything, is in service to a narrative. And so he's like, why would he? I think that's what's happening here. You gotta let him speak a little bit to cook, right? Like he's just not letting Conduit cook, and instead he's thinking that Conduit is like everything Conduit is saying is like Kyle Kulinski bad, and Kyle Kulinski, all he does is bash Dems, and that's it. And like he thinks like that's like what is being communicated, when really he's just like telling you like, no, this is what was talked about that day.
About how people are publicly it's not like a factual statement. It's someone's interpretation, and he's crediting an interpretation, but it's not like he's quote unquote like getting news from Twitter, and he's getting someone's opinion. It would be like saying Mearsheimer says that X, Y, or Z, or whoever this is, right? Says whatever. Oh, you're getting your facts from Twitter. He's sourcing a guy.
Tommy Dieter points out, Israeli government officials are talking about the Gaza ceasefire very differently than Trump. Kyle leader. First thing we're doing is getting our hostages back. After that, we'll see. Middle East Eye is reporting that they already broke it, and they have video of them violating the deal, breaking the deal.
This is happening too fast. I can't hear the article, and it's sorry.
See, Middle East Eye.
He does not show the video for Middle East Eye. I believe this is the post he's referring to, in which. Yeah, how can he show it on, like, this is just when he's not in his like studio or whatever, right? This is like him on, like, there are some times when I'm talking about stuff I see and I'm either in like a hotel or something, or I don't even want to bring it up.
Also said this earlier, Pisco's looking specifically for Kyle and Crystal to do both sides bad commentary and is missing that it is broadly about them being irresponsible in their reporting. Yes. Yes. You were more specific. I think we were touching on similar things there, but you were more specific about the substance. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's what he's looking for, and he's missing the forest for the trees here.
He's referring to which
that they already broke it, and they have video of them violating the deal.
The article on that Hamas booby-trapped buildings that civilians can return to. The ceasefire violation happened hours after it was announced Thursday, and no deaths or injuries occurred Friday. Mahmoud Bazal, spokesperson for Palestinian civil defense in Gaza, described massive destruction across the besieged enclave during on-ground inspections. He warned that ordnance and explosive robots remain in the area, urging civilians to stay clear of such objects as they pose a serious danger to life. I want to highlight that some homes where Israeli forces were stationed have been booby-trapped and have not yet exploded. Civilians returning to those homes may be shocked to find them filled with explosives. Meanwhile, authorities in Gaza have called on the public to cooperate during the upcoming recovery phase, announcing that security forces will be deployed throughout the strip to restore order. The article omits that Hamas booby-trapped building that civilians cannot return to. Is it wrong, though, of the ceasefire violation?
Back. After that, we are talking about the Gaza ceasefire very differently than Trump. Kyle leader. First thing we're doing is getting our hostages back. After that, we'll see. Middle East Eye.
Okay. Israel forces killed 70 people on Thursday, just hours after the mediators announced the ceasefire. He does not show the video.
That they already
in
broke
which
it, and
the
they have
article.
Video of them,
so you're not sure that that's what he's referring to. I said the article omits booby traps. Does it contradict what Kyle's saying? That's the important bit, right? Whether it contradicts what Kyle's saying.
Violating the deal, breaking the deal. We also have the Times of Gaza. This was.
Times of Gaza is an actual media.
I don't understand this map.
Account that posts Gaza war footage. Okay.
I believe the fact of the matter is, I know this is so.
Wait, but what does it say that's wrong?
Violating the deal.
Because there could be some like OSINT shit.
Breaking the deal.
You actually need to show. You actually need to show that what he's doing is irresponsible. That the video he's showing is like fake. The account is uncredible for what it posts. It's actually not enough to be like, Twitter lol. I haven't seen a contradiction between the omission of booby traps and the fact that he's citing
Times of Gaza.
Not a publication,
I don't know this map, man. I fucking still don't.
Like some Twitter account that shows video. You have to show that he's relying on it and that it's like bad to do that.
I didn't even prime Pisco. What are you talking about?
I know this is so dark to say.
I didn't even prime him.
I don't think it matters what Hamas does at this point because
I said just watch the video. That's all I said.
I don't think that you've shown anything that is like wrong. I mean, like I see accounts that sometimes post crazy videos from Ukraine that are like reliable. You need to show some sort of like dubious reliance, some sort of specific contradiction.
Israel is they're gonna continue with the genocide and they're gonna try to complete it. And so if they give up the hostages or if they don't give up the hostages, the end result is effectively gonna be the same.
This is his prediction. Again,
that they're gonna be.
You might disagree with it, but I'm not seeing something that I mean, it's just him shitting on Israel, which they do. They don't like the Israeli government.
They're gonna be obliterated. They're gonna be wiped off the map.
The benefit of being from the future is that I can be thankful that at least for now he's wrong. But there's a difference between Israel being overly aggressive during the ceasefire and they are going to finish the genocide now.
Yeah. There is a difference between those two things, but that's his. Do you think that he doesn't acknowledge that there's a difference?
Yeah, I do think that. That's exactly what I think.
So if they give up the hostages or if they don't give up the hostages,
that's his estimation of their intent. You might again disagree with their intent, but he's just making again a prediction based on what he perceives the intent to be.
The end result is effectively going to be the same.
Okay.
They're going to be obliterated. They're going to be wiped off the map.
The benefit of being from the future is that I can be thankful that, at least for now, he's wrong. But there's a difference between Israel being overly aggressive during the ceasefire and they are going to finish the genocide now.
You haven't established that he...
Oh, wow.
That he doesn't acknowledge the difference between those two things. That's what you're going to have to show. A contradiction. Some kind of contradiction, actually.
I hate living through history. I hate it.
It's a trash prediction. Haha. It's a trash It's not... You haven't exposed anything. People have wrong predictions. Mearsheimer had a bad prediction about whether or not they would actually go and do any kind of action in Venezuela, the land invasion or whatever. People have bad predictions. That's not... you know, you can have a tick. I have a prediction about like what the Democrats are going to do or what Trump is going to do. I've said that I think Trump is going to invoke the Insurrection Act. Again, you haven't shown like a bias against rank and file Democrats in favor of Trump or some kind of false equivalence.
I hate it. Witnessing a new...
Or like, I mean, like, this is a nothing burger so far.
Holocaust, a new genocide.
Don't make me do a history of the Holocaust so that you can see why these two things are not at all comparable.
Holocaust, a new genocide.
Finish the genocide now.
I hate living through history. I hate it. I hate it. Witnessing a new Holocaust, a new genocide.
Don't make me do a history of the Holocaust so that you can see why these two things are not at all comparable.
And the U.S. is leading the way, and Israel's leading the way, and now none of us are safe.
Van Jones and some other journalists are apparently doing a fellowship that Kyle claims is about pro-Israel propaganda.
I don't fucking know.
Journalism fellowship explicitly created to help Israel win its information war.
He's referencing a Dropsite News article, which is not great.
There are 16 mainstream...
Wait, what?
To help Israel win its information war.
He's referencing a Dropsite...
Like, in virtue of what is it not great? In response to an inquiry from Dropsite about whether having staff reporters mentoring for a program,
well, for starters, it's Dropsite
to help Israel win an information war presented a conflict with the Times standards. Spokesperson Charlie Sadlanter said in a statement, "It is ridiculous to guess participation as a mentor in this fellowship of anything other than helping to build the reporting skills necessary for the next generation." So what's the problem with this article?
Propaganda.
In a new journalism fellowship explicitly created to help Israel win its information war.
He's referencing a Dropsite News article, which is not great.
There are 16 mainstream...
Not great in virtue of what?
He's not going to get into the details about literally everything. Jeez.
Just because he's citing Dropsite? Yeah, they were friends with like Ryan Grimm, who like was one of the... Are you serious? Well, what's the problem?
Well, that doesn't...
Are they wrong?
Well, what does that mean?
Reporting incorrect? Is he wrong to rely on it?
Journalists who are on Israel.
Do you guys have an ion splitter? Anyone?
For doing Israeli propaganda.
He's referring to the Karsh Fellowship, intended to mentor 10 journalists.
Well, you can have that if you want.
No, I'm sure. I'll take it. Thank you.
On how to cover Jewish stories. The founders cite the Al-Ali hospital bombing, when multiple outlets immediately jumped on the first estimate put out that hundreds of people were killed, when the real number was much lower, as the reason it was founded. Kyle is grossly exaggerating the extent of this, even if the founders have positioned themselves explicitly as pro-Israel.
Fellowship explicitly created to help Israel win its information war.
He's referencing a Dropsite News article, which is not great.
There are 16 mainstream journalists who are on Israel's payroll, getting probably paid a shitload for doing Israeli propaganda.
He's referring to the Karsh Fellowship, intended to mentor 10 journalists on how to cover Jewish stories. The founders cite the Al-Ali hospital bombing, when multiple outlets immediately jumped on the first estimate put out that hundreds of people were killed, when the real number was much lower, as the reason it was founded. Kyle is grossly exaggerating the extent of this, even if the founders have...
Extent of this? Extent of what? What is it that he's exaggerating?
Position themselves explicitly as...
I'm only half paying attention, but I think he's saying he's grossly, what did he say? Overstating the significance like of this like fellowship, I think is what he's saying, right?
Pro-Israel and anti-Hamas.
Van Jones, remember he was...
How do you know that he's exaggerating? In virtue of what is he exaggerating? How do you know he's exaggerating?
Well, I thought my pauses were bad. I'm so sorry. Is this what I do to you guys?
He might be exaggerating, but how does this show how he's exaggerating? It's okay. The word of the day is conclusory. Okay, something is conclusory if it states a conclusion, but how do we know that it's exaggerating, or that Kyle is exaggerating grossly? It just concludes it.
Kyle is grossly exaggerating the extent of this, even if the founders have positioned themselves explicitly as pro-Israel and anti-Hamas.
Desmond with $10. The other thing I think Pisco is doing is he's not treating Kyle and Crystal as if they have an extra responsibility to be accurate. He's treating them as if they are randos and not journalists. Well, Kyle, I don't know if we call Kyle... Are we calling both of them journalists? I mean, I don't... journalist? I mean, there's a stronger case for Crystal. I think Kyle's just a YouTuber. Does be down with $2. This is super defensive. Purported journalists? Do they call themselves journalists? I think commentators is probably a better. Slate King with $10, 5 minutes behind. Pisco believes everything Conduit says is in service to a narrative because everything Pisco. Okay, all right. Everybody relax.
Jones, remember he was on Bill Maher's show and he made a joke where, oh, you go on social media, it's dead God's baby, dead God's baby, dead God's baby, Diddy, dead God's baby, dead God's baby. Oh, that's because of Qatar and Iran and they're waging this information war. Total nonsense. The reason why that stuff is out there is because it's happening and people are interested in it and they want it to stop.
Qatar and Iran are very obviously running disinfo campaigns, given that there have been multiple instances of people.
Van Jones, remember he was on Bill Maher's show and he made a joke where, oh, you go on social media, it's dead God's baby, dead God's baby, dead God's baby, Diddy, dead God's baby, dead God's baby. Oh, that's because of Qatar and Iran and they're waging this information war. Total nonsense. The reason why that stuff is out there is because it's happening and people are interested in it and they want it to stop.
Qatar and Iran are very.
Do you hear Kyle?
What issue is he going to take with this?
Do you hear Kyle deny that they're doing cyber influence operations, or do you hear him deny that like this is all a result of that?
Wait,
as though that this. I think here there's just like a question of how much significance you put to the general outrage at what's happening in Gaza, and
I don't think that's what this is about.
Whether or not that they're like trying to do any operations whatsoever, but the extent to which you can dismiss sort of shorthand, like what Kyle is basically saying, there's some bad faith actors who are dismissing all this outrage as mere cyber operations. That's what he's addressing. And I think that you've now taken that statement, which is addressed at a kind of like poo-pooing, to mean that Kyle was asserting that there are no, in fact, cyber operations from the Qataris or from Gulf states or whatever, or Iran.
I
didn't
think
hear Kyle suggest that.
Wait.
What Kyle, based on the clip that you showed, was responding to was this kind of like thoughtless.
Wait. I'm getting triggered.
Tell me if
I'm getting triggered.
You guys get a different read.
I mean,
obviously running disinfo campaigns, given that there have been multiple.
So, okay, I'm gonna play it again, and you tell me which of these is closer to accurate based on the clip that was selected for this video. Do you think it's more accurate?
How do you navigate this map?
That there are no operations being conducted from Qatar and Iran, or do you think it's more accurate that he was criticizing this kind of reflexive dismissal of the genuine concerns for the Gazan people that have been acknowledged by Trump himself? In both parties.
Van Jones, remember he was.
So you tell me, you're about to hear it again. Which of those do you think is more accurate based on the clip he selected?
He was on Bill Maher's show and he made a joke where, oh, you go on social media, it's dead God's baby, dead God's baby, dead God's baby, Diddy, dead God's baby, dead God's baby. Oh, that's because of Qatar and Iran and they're waging this information war. Total nonsense. The reason why that stuff is out there is because it's happening and people are interested in it and they want it to stop.
Qatar and Iran.
So what do you think is more closer? A blanket refusal to acknowledge the existence of cyber operations from these actors, or a criticism at the delegitimization of these images by? I
mean, he is. I don't know what Pisco's talking about. He is like.
Oh, it's just Qatar.
Totally dismissing the possibility that a lot of the, social media.
Tell me if I'm being crazy.
Well, I mean, I think you're being crazy, but
come on, Pisco, let's be for real. Kyle's implying that it's not really happening. People just care. He's combating the narrative. He's quoting. Where? Are you serious? Based on what you just heard? You think that you can translate that statement to they're not actually running any kind of influence operation?
Well,
if I ask Kyle what his opinion is, what do you think he would say?
I think Kyle would say that's bullshit. Yeah, I think he would say that.
Both.
I think he would say it's bullshit that Qatar is running a misinformation campaign.
Live in bad faith if you have that interpretation. Live in bad faith.
Okay, I'm not finding this fucking splitter.
And are very obviously running disinfo campaigns, given that there have been multiple instances of people using footage from Syria and claiming that.
Am I in the right spot, or am I supposed to be going to medical? I already forgot.
Okay, so because some people, which has happened on both sides, and it happens even in situations that happen domestically, have confused images. You've just owned Kyle. You owned Kyle. I don't understand how that owns Kyle actually, but you tell me. You tell me if I'm being unfair or if I'm being like crazy charitable.
I think you're being hyper vigilant.
Of people using footage
is the word I would use.
Claiming that they're Israeli attacks.
People don't like seeing babies getting blown up in their face on a daily basis. That's why it's out there.
I mean, thank you for laying out in clear terms the reason that might be used in a disinfo campaign because of.
What he's denying is that the overwhelming sentiment is based on a disinformation campaign, as opposed to the actual suffering and the actual images that are coming out of Gaza that are not contested and that don't need to be funneled through a disinformation campaign.
The strong emotional reaction it incurs.
Meanwhile, Israel's literally like buying up our media right in front of our faces. The Zionist billionaires are buying like every outlet right in front of our faces and making Barry Weiss fucking emperor of news.
This is veering very quickly from legitimate concern to Jews control the media. Excuse me, Zionists.
Every single...
I mean, I think that the causality there is one that is, I think, inappropriate, in that I think it's more managed by Trump.
Inappropriate?
The influences with respect to information warfare are definitely there.
Inappropriate?
And it's not anti-Semitic to suggest that...
Wait, if it's inappropriate, why is it inappropriate? If it's inappropriate, how is it not anti-Semitic? Because I don't know what inappropriate means in this context if it's not anti-Semitic, right? If it's not like Zog, Jews control the media kind of thing, right?
That there are interests within the United States that want to present Israel in a favorable light, just like those interests exist for, you know, other foreign interests. That's not, especially with this administration, who actively courts such individuals, basically pays homage to them, you know, to Miriam Adelson, as well as other donors who have.
All right, I do want to request that you guys chill out a little bit in the chat. You can be pointed in your criticism of Pisco or whatever. Just don't do like attacks on his character. Don't do that. He's a friend of the pod, friend of the stream.
A vested interest in it, and who stake their actual like you know, positions and their influence on the campaign on those very facts and issues. So is the causality Israel is controlling the media fucked up the impression? Yeah. But I think that you're also dismissing out of hand that such interests do exist, and you're happy to grant them in the context of Qatar, and you're happy to grant them in the context of Iran. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I wouldn't frame it that way. I wouldn't say it that way, but I don't really think that it's this like shocking, disgusting anti-Semitic trope that he's playing on.
One of these so-called journalists should be fucking fired. All these people are whores, and Israel's got a lot of money, and they'll fill their fucking pockets.
The people in the fellowship get $4,000. I couldn't find what the mentors get, but I assume it is not a lot. Then the Virginia GOP candidate for governor said it's not discrimination to fire someone for being gay. It is. I don't need a source to confirm that. Kyle's right.
Look, Spanberger's not the greatest Democrat. You know, I have issues with her, but any Democrat with a fucking pulse is better than these Republicans.
Trump reversed a Biden administration regulation to ban a forever chemical.
When we had fewer regulations back in the day, there was a river famously in the U.S. that caught fire, and it burned.
Pete Hegseth got Botox. That's a fun one.
They think he's literally manic. Like he might be bipolar, and he's going through a manic phase.
Trump tried to ban flag burning, and someone from Tennessee got arrested for posting Charlie Kirk memes.
This is how, and by the way, this shows the lack of resistance too, right, from the Democrats. That he feels like I could just go out there and say, quote, we took the freedom of speech away, and, you know, think, I'll be fine. The Democrats won't react. I won't be clobbered over the head. I hope Democrats are cutting ads with him saying this right now. Shouldn't you have to know at least a little bit to be fucking president of the United States?
So far, though, okay, even if you grant the, oh, this is like irresponsible Israel-Palestine framing, what I'm not seeing here is a false equivalence between Democrats and Republicans. So I'm looking out for that.
States will apparently not.
I mean, that's
I didn't tell him. Listen, I didn't tell him that that's what this video was.
Meanwhile, there's this whole right-wing apparatus, and they seem to drive whatever story, whatever
narrative. I didn't tell him that.
They seem to be able to drive that home.
Now I'm wondering, what did Kyle think about Taylor Lorenz's article about Chorus?
Welcome, Taylor Lorenz. Thanks for joining us. There's this Democratic creator incubator.
Oh man, I'm so. Oh, okay. I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to this part here.
Program called Chorus.
Okay, wait a second. So now we're not doing the weak thing, because this is before. This is months ago.
But ultimately, the standards are set by
right now. Shouldn't you have to know at least a little bit to be fucking president of the United States? Well, apparently not.
I mean, that's preferable, but ultimately the standards are set by the electorate.
I'm fucking pissing into the wind here, doing my job. Meanwhile, there's this whole right-wing apparatus, and they seem to drive whatever story, whatever narrative they want to drive home. They seem to be able to drive that home.
Now I'm wondering, what did Kyle think about Taylor Lorenz's article about Chorus?
Welcome.
I'm just not understanding how the chorus angle here, which I probably won't agree with Kyle and Chris on.
Wait, what?
How that is at all
isn't this a conversation about the like a fellowship that they were just talking about? Isn't it right?
Related to what we just saw, but someone I'm sure he'll explain.
Hello, Lorenz. Thanks for joining us. There's this Democratic Creator Incubator program called Chorus,
which is a nonprofit that I helped found to build up a creator ecosystem, which everybody says they want, but few are doing.
and it's funded by this liberal dark money group called the 1630 Fund. So, according to reporting, there are restrictive clauses in the contract. They have to funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus.
That's not true. I set up all my own interviews. You can go ask lawmakers yourself.
But that's about what the contract suggests, and I think the contract, there are some ambiguities within it regarding what is and what is not.
Wait, no, come on, because we've talked about this on the pod, and now it seems like he's taking like a different tone with it.
Allowed under it, so different things, right? So we understand the difference.
Money group called the 1630 Fund. So, according to reporting, there are restrictive clauses in the contract.
There are restrictive clauses in the contract, and let's see what the debunk is.
They have to funnel all bookings with lawmakers and political leaders through Chorus.
That's not true. I set up all my own interviews. You can
Is that a contradiction?
Oh no, come on, wait, what? No, it's dishonest framing. You know this. We've talked about this. Yes, it is a contradiction because it's dishonest framing. The framing suggests that the course creators had to go through Chorus for like everything. That was the obvious framing. And he knows this. We've spoken about this. And now he's like steel manning Kyle's position.
You guys tell me, am I being too fair? Am I being too, is that a contradiction, yes or no? Are there restrictive clauses? Did she set up all her own interviews? What's the contradiction? You tell me what the contradiction is. And also, at this point, Kyle is just quoting the article. What's the issue? It's a non sequitur.
What?
What's the contradiction?
A non sequitur?
So you guys spell it out. Just because you do something doesn't mean a clause doesn't exist in a contract.
Wait,
and
no,
again,
but
he's quoting from the article.
It's about
whether or not the restrictive clause exists is separate from whether.
But it's about the framing.
Or not it was ever.
It's utterly dishonest framing. He's already taken that position when we spoke about it.
Or enforced.
What? I'm so confused right now.
So the P is there are restrictive clauses in the contract. The not P would be there are not restrictive clauses in the contract.
No, it would be like, listen, technically everybody has restrictive clauses in a contract. That's just the nature of a contract. Otherwise, you wouldn't need the contract. What is a contract if not an agreement between two or more parties on set terms that would necessarily restrict you in many senses?
So we're just going to listen to that one more time.
And it's funded Chorus,
which is a nonprofit that I helped found to build up a creator ecosystem, which everybody says they want, but few are doing.
And it's funded by this liberal dark money group called the 1630 Fund. So, according to reporting, there are restrictive.
According to your reporting, so he's reading from the reporting, quoting from the reporting. So he's affirming, he's stating out loud.
Do you, as a content creator, if you're going to cite someone's reporting, like, do you have, should there be responsibility on the part of the creator to scrutinize the reporting if appropriate? Like, if I go to a journalist over and over again and I cite reporting from a particular journalist over and over again, and then that journalist, it ends up being the case that they do like shoddy work. Am I not being irresponsible by doing that? Now, I'm not, I honestly don't know a lot about Taylor Lorenz's other reporting, so I can only speculate, but just saying like, well, he's just saying what was in the reporting. That's not really like a strong defense against a claim of him being reckless. Okay, well, what if the reporting was like really shitty? And then what if a ton of chorus creators came out in the days that followed that reporting with a ton of receipts that totally undermined the grand narrative that the reporting was trying to sell, which again, he knows because we've spoken about this. Like, he knows that the framing was totally dishonest. But he seems to be backtracking on that in defense of Kyle as he reacts to this video, which is a little confusing because we've had conversations. Marduk, is that how you say that name? Thank you so much for 3 months. Blue Riding with $2. Blue Riding with tier 1 membership. I'm 20 behind. He stops more than you. I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate myself. Slate King with $10, 5 minutes behind. Pisco believes everything Conduit says is in service. I think I already got you for that, right?
What Taylor is reporting on. So this is a low IQ. Timothy Douglas, you need to understand that you're being very low IQ right now. So are all these people violating? This is what an emotional baby does. Non sequitur, not responsive, right? Desperate, emotional child.
All right, let's skip a little ahead. Let's skip ahead here. I'm not going to watch the whole video. What was the timestamp again? It was 3. You listed it. I already forgot what the timestamp is. It was 3. What was it again? What was the timestamp again? 3:10. Okay, let's go to 3 hours. Let's just go to 3 hours and start from there.
This in itself doesn't bring the legitimacy of these targets into dispute. And we're back to Venezuela and Maria Corina Machado winning the Nobel Prize. Ryan also misrepresents how she asked Netanyahu for help with Maduro.
She has even asked.
She literally did. I read it. She literally.
He said how, right? Doesn't he get into details here? Maybe the quibble is about the details?
Did. Now you can say they're misstating it, they're overemphasizing it, they're picking out Netanyahu, and this is a broader set of things, but you need to be more careful in your video when you produce the letter which states it.
Asked Benjamin Netanyahu to please come liberate Venezuela.
I can't prove it, but Ryan seems very upset that Emily decided to point out the most likely reason Machado won the Nobel Prize.
Imagine one of the reasons she got this is because there's a pretty decent case.
Yeah, he's saying she asked Netanyahu to come liberate Venezuela. That does not appear to be what happened. She was just calling for like general more support, right? Like she wasn't calling for military intervention, right?
That she actually won.
Yes, it does. It does appear like Maduro rigged that election. So maybe that's. But
they also did. They were able to track because of the system. Actually, yeah.
Then we're on to ICE raids.
I mean, it genuinely is like a mass terror campaign to scare people into either.
Well, Ryan Grimm is blatantly lying on the video, and you're actively listening to, and you call out the lies in the chat. Wait, which lie? What's the lie here?
That she asked Netanyahu to liberate Venezuela.
Timothy, where are you?
Whoa, damn. They're getting into it.
Where's Timothy Douglas? I want you to join the call.
Damn. No, Smodge, I think I got the timestamp. It's like 5 minutes after this. So I'm playing it from here.
I'll actually share it so we can watch it together. So we can have fair and balanced. Call on.
That's not a lie. Did she call for Netanyahu to liberate Venezuela? Oops.
Yeah, maybe the Conduit video should have pointed out the lie.
I thought that was the purpose of actually pulling up the letter that Machado wrote to begin with. So does he have to restate it?
Which lie? Biden bad because he didn't pick up the phone. Is that a fair characterization of their position? Everyone take the view that Timothy has put forth. And try not to be a biased piece of shit. Is the view, or is the view America should have exerted its influence and cut off Israel, and that they think would have had the effect of ending the conflict?
Oh, I got bad vibes here.
Aid, among other things. It's midnight and the wife is asleep. Conduit showed you the, what's the lie? A lie is a deliberate falsehood.
Again, I think the lie is that Machado asked Netanyahu to liberate Venezuela. Is that the lie actually? I don't even remember. You guys tell me. What did it say in that letter? Husband with $2 dog who screams at this at like 1 a.m. Not me. I'm in bed. I'm in bed sleeping my fucking titties off at 1 a.m.
A lie is a deliberate falsehood. A knowing, intentional falsehood. What is a lie?
I just want to get the fucking ion splitter. That's all I want. That's all I want. Can you not get it from another map? Cause I'm fucking done. Ion sputter, is that what? Is there any other map that has Exodus?
Looking for the lie. I mean, do you doubt they believe it? Do you doubt they believe that Biden could have exerted a shit ton of influence to end the conflict in Israel, Gaza? Stop pretending you don't know the lie. This is like so pathetic.
Or to chill dissent. I mean,
That is correct.
I hate these people so much.
Agreed. Then the Republican who bought Dominion voting.
So that's a little ominous. Got to look into that more to find out what that means.
And that's day one.
That is ominous, and it actually might be...
He's not disagreeing. Pisco, he's not disagreeing with that.
...related to the warrant that was executed in Georgia. Just heads up. I'm not sure that it was, but who the fuck knows?
You know, it wasn't great, but it was still better than I expected, actually.
Let me just say, it's not that I'm calling...
June 2025.
So he hears that, but is he able to turn off the part of his brain that is still looking for the thing? He hears him say, like, that was honestly better than I thought it would be.
I thought this was a week. Wait, hang on. We're in 1956. So this is... it started October.
Let's go to that location.
So now we're in June?
Him a Nazi. It's that he has said he has admiration for Adolf Hitler. Every now and then, Nick Fuentes will come out there and he'll say something that seems true on, for example, the issue of the genocide in Gaza. There is such a thing as being right for the wrong reason.
The Likud regime in Israel is captured.
And by the way, from what I've seen of Kyle's coverage of Nick, he talks shit about Nick all the time. And he always says that Nick is right sometimes for the wrong reasons. I'm just telling you no. I watch America First too.
Why are the lights turned off?
You know, occasionally he'll say some things that I will agree with. Usually, like, sort of analyzing some of the internal actors in the administration, which it doesn't mean that you're a groyper. And Kyle has consistently talked shit about Nick, at least in the recent coverage that I've seen.
Our government, they're responsible for the censorship. They're responsible for the war in Iraq. America is the seat of the liberal empire that controls the world.
So he said it, not me. He actually doesn't really care about Palestinians. He doesn't really care about the genocide. I actually want the liberal order and international law to matter. I'm taking it for moral reasons. I'm taking this position. He's taking it for strategic reasons. It's a chicken shit position to say, I don't actually care about the genocide. And by the way, the reason why I low-key like the role he plays is because he functions as somebody who divides and conquers the right. He makes a stink on the right, and he starts throwing Molotov cocktails at largely his ideological allies. And then they...
So I actually don't like the role that Nick plays because I'm concerned that they're growing. So he does act as a divisive force for sure. And I think that he does weaken the Republican Party, no doubt. And so some people will see that and sort of see the potential vulnerability, which I think Kyle is correctly identifying. I just think it's not worth the risk because I think he's too charismatic and the party basically stands for nothing.
Start infighting with each other, and then the movement falls apart. May as well be a CIA op on the right to divide and conquer the right, and that's why I love it. Because then you collapse under your own weight.
It is fun to watch them eat each other alive, though. I mean, if that's the point.
And as you all know, the Democrats are fucking useless. They don't know how to fight, so you need the right-wingers to take down other right-wingers in order to block the agenda.
You shouldn't watch that slop first show. It's terrible geopolitics. Hey, I watch it to know what my enemies are saying. I don't just accept everything that Nick says at all. If you watch me, I think it's been useful to have watched it because I know when Counterpoints is saying some shit that Nick Fuentes said. And I've called it out in real time for multiple people. And so I watch Fox News. I watch America First. I used to watch Charlie Kirk. So I watch conservative media, sometimes even more than I do left-wing media, and it's served.
But I think Conduit, now I don't remember because it's been a while since I watched the video, but like me personally, I would never credit Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nick Fuentes, I would never credit them for being like right on Israel. None of those people are motivated by a sense of care for like the Palestinian people. They just hate Jewish people. This was the interstitial to show Kalinsky sees Fuentes and how close he's wound up to him unintentionally. Gotcha.
Me well.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully today doesn't start off too bad.
First, the open admission of how corrupt the Israel lobby is and how they buy all of our politicians.
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
Miriam Adelson is a billionaire, and Miriam gave $100 million to Trump. And the quid pro quo was basically, you need to be a cuck to Israel.
My criticism here isn't that someone has undue influence on the president towards Israel. I don't dispute that. My issue is that the framing Kyle uses here in an effort to be bombastic is basically implying that Israel controls the government.
Bragging about him doing the bidding of that pro-Israel billionaire and the Israeli government? I mean, he's making the case about...
By the way, I went on stage and from Actual Justice Warrior, and I said that Trump was Bibi's bitch. I don't think that that's I don't know, anti.
That is such a different, more like way more vague and general and broad kind of context.
Semitic thing to say. I mean, that's kind of the Democratic view, is that he's too beholden to Israel. I mean, am I wrong about that? I mean, you guys tell me. I mean, don't we think that Trump is too influenced by Netanyahu? Crazy?
How the Israel lobby needs to register as a foreign agent. Right now, AIPAC doesn't register as a foreign agent. Well, here.
And it's not just me who thinks this. Again, it's like, it's me. I've heard Destiny say it. I've heard people who are more centrist than me say it. I've heard people who are more left wing from me say it. So I don't really view this. I mean, obviously they're overall much more anti-Israel.
We know pro-Israel donors in the U.S., billionaires with dual citizenship, clearly they're repping Israel. They're backing Israel.
I got a good spawn.
Dual loyalty trope. Miriam Adelson is not broad justification for labeling a group as a foreign agent.
They're not the America first, my ass cheeks. This is America last. This is Israel first.
And of course, the Democrats aren't doing enough about this.
You know, it would be nice to have an opposition party in this country that could call this out and slam him for it. No, instead, what'll
I actually do wish that the Democrats would be more oppositional to Trump's policies internationally and specifically with Israel. I think that they have been far too light in terms of Trump's interventions.
Democrats will keep quiet.
Again, is this entire fucking video about Israel?
Try to suck up to the same Israeli billionaires, hoping that they'll pick them. How are you going to out-corrupt Donald Trump?
The Lycun regime in Israel has captured our government.
Trump was protested while giving a speech in the Knesset.
Now, I gotta be honest, I don't know what this protest was. It's very possible it could be the Ben-Gvir or Smotrich types, the super far right.
Okay, feel like you should know. It was the Israeli left. They explicitly called him out for aiding the genocide in Gaza.
If it hasn't hit you yet, it's at this point it should hit you that both Israel and the U.S. are going to go down in history like Nazi Germany.
Until such a time that the United States becomes fully and permanently incapable of providing the world with humanitarian and diplomatic aid, as well as safe pathways for trade. I don't think that's true. What's happening in Gaza is, to put it mildly, fucking atrocious. Trump is enabling it. To say that doesn't contradict either idea that the people in Gaza need a government that supports them instead of using them as a meat shield, and that America's culpability in that does not outweigh the literal millions of people it has kept alive with food, clean water, and medicine. Part of what I think is necessary to fixing the problems we're currently having is to actually feel like America.
I'm just trying to get through part of this. We're never gonna get it done if I don't do it at like stopping at some point. But if there's something obscene that I hear
is worth fighting for, and condemning us to the dustbin of history serves only to validate its destruction.
Literally right up there.
Thanks, bro.
With the evil guy with the freaky mustache. He knows how to use those weapons. He sure does. He aims it right at those dollars.
They hate Israel. We get it.
He goes pew pew. That's what he does. So the only good news that's come out is the 20 Israeli hostages released, but the 2,000 Palestinians.
And
what's going on?
Just to preempt it, I would partner / work with / whatever you want to say in terms of the entailment. My interest is first and foremost the American Republic and protecting it from the MAGA barbarians. And so if they're out there on Israel, and they are out there on some of the Israel stuff, they're out there on some of the Epstein stuff, I disagree with them on that. And in fact, I disagree with them on some of the Russia-Ukraine stuff. That's not enough to cause me to be like, should I go on their show anymore? When
well, I didn't say don't go on their show.
MAGA Republicans,
I never said that.
Destroying our country and ruining America.
I definitely did not say that.
Too, and who we all have our obligation to defend the Republic. Just heads up, just to preempt it. Even if they're crazy on Israel, Even if they're crazy on Israel, I mean, that's not gonna cause me to like not go on their show. I don't know what the point is.
Palestinian hostages being released. By the way, they said you're not allowed to record their reactions.
The problem is that you need to disentangle actual issues with Israeli detainment from the Hamas propaganda that would obviously be created, the same way they created propaganda for the hostage releases that were spread by people who should have known better.
Hamas is giving them drugs, and that's why they're dabbing them up. Hamas gave them the drugs that make you dab up Hamas.
Thankfully, we're off Gaza. Kyle has a good idea to have lawyers at ICE protests documenting and explaining what's happening in real time.
There should be a lawyer at every single one of these protests with a megaphone. We need that professionalism. We need that energy. We need that understanding of the law. Is the U.S. sending troops to Israel?
But we just left.
Trump just illegally sent U.S. troops to Israel.
It's not illegal for Trump to send non-combatant members of the military to Israel, and nowhere in the article he's looking at here does it actually say it is. Nor does it say anything about the legality of this operation and reporting from...
I think they have a view that it violates some sort of U.S. obligation to...
They have a view?
Not give aid or something to...
Is it true?
I mean, I don't know that I agree with it.
Okay, well, there you go.
Certain countries that conduct certain war crimes or something. I forget what that was.
The Leahy law. The Leahy law. The Leahy.
Israel is illegal too.
I think that's the Leahy law, right? This was the part. Taps to get his attention. This was the part right here.
BBC, NPR, or PBS. By all accounts, he does not, as Kyle says here, need to go through Congress.
You would need to go through Congress in order to do that.
But it creates a new opportunity for Kyle to say that Dems aren't doing enough.
It's not like Democrats are actually acting as a sufficient opposition party, so they're not fucking talking about this. By the way, I like what Wajahat Ali says here.
Oh my God.
By the way, maybe not with respect to Israel, but in general, I agree that that Democrats need to be more opposing, and they're not sufficiently opposing. And I agree with that view in general. As to Israel, you know, it's not as important to me as the domestic.
The Leahy law. Leahy law. Leahy.
It's inescapable at this point.
You're gonna get a peep in mainstream media.
Wait, what was the lie? What's the lie?
Wait.
What's the lie? To Israel is illegal too.
BBC, NPR, or PBS. By all accounts, he does not, as Kyle says here, need to go through Congress.
You would need to go through Congress in order to do that.
But it creates a new opportunity for Kyle to say that Dems aren't doing enough.
It's not like Democrats are actually acting as a sufficient opposition party, so they're not fucking talking about this. By the way, I like what Wajahat Ali says here.
Oh my God.
By the way, maybe not with respect to Israel, but in general, I agree that that Democrats need to be more opposing, and they're not sufficiently opposing. And I agree with that view in general. As to Israel, it's not as important to me as the domestic issues.
God, he's reading a Twitter quote in the article. It's inescapable at this point.
You're gonna get a peep in mainstream media.
Wait, what was the lie?
God damn it.
What's the lie?
I missed it again.
My God.
By the way, maybe not with respect to Israel, but in general, I agree that that Democrats need to be more opposing, and they're not sufficiently opposing. And I agree with that view in general. As to Israel, it's not as important to me as the domestic issues.
God, he's reading a Twitter quote in the article. It's inescapable at this point.
You're gonna get a peep in mainstream media.
Wait, what was the lie? What's the lie?
I love this.
What's the lie?
Wait, what's happening?
Waiting for the lie from the only Max Ping.
Wait, what's happening?
About it being illegal. Okay, you guys not know what a lie is?
It's not, you would need to go through Congress in order to do.
PBS. By all accounts, he does not, as Kyle says here, need to go through Congress.
You would need to go through Congress in order to do that.
But it
So, okay, wait, hang on a second.
By all accounts, he does not, as Kyle says here, need.
So he's lying about
Congress.
You would.
That's a legal conclusion, right? And so, what's the citation that they wouldn't need to go through Congress?
And reporters of the military to Israel, and nowhere in the article he's looking at here does it actually say it is.
Troops to Israel.
It's not illegal for Trump to send
troops to Israel. A lawyer at every single one of these protests.
All right, let's hang on.
We need that professionalism. We need that energy. We need that understanding of the law. Is the U.S. sending troops to?
Where's the citation that it's not illegal? Wait, what? Where's the citation that it's not illegal?
Israel.
But we just left.
Trump just illegally sent U.S. troops to Israel.
It's not illegal for Trump to send non-combatant members.
Source? I mean, I don't think it is.
Then why are you doing this? You don't have to do this. It's not necessary.
But source? And what's the, I mean, maybe he believes it.
Members of the military to Israel, and nowhere in the article he's looking at here does it actually say it is, nor does it say anything about.
Well, if he believes it, that even if he believed it, that basically plays into the premise of Conduit's entire video, which is that he's reckless. Like, well, why does he believe that? How many years has he had to look into the letter of the law and, you know, have an accurate view of when the president is obligated to go to Congress to get things approved first, right?
The legality of this operation and reporting from BBC.
I know, but where are you saying that he's wrong about that? Because you're claiming he's wrong about that. I don't have a reason to believe that you need to have an act of Congress to deploy. Maybe let me think about it some more. I think Congress has the power to declare war, so I wouldn't consider it a violation of the Constitution with respect to war. But there could be some other restriction that he's referencing. In other words, I don't know what he's referencing about it being illegal.
Well, then I feel, oh, okay. This is, I don't know. This is starting to feel,
But you certainly, for whatever it is, whoever claims that he's lying about this first needs to establish that it's in fact false, and that Kyle knew it was false when he said it. That's how you know something is a lie. Okay.
when is it a lie versus just being like, is it much better to be wildly, consistently reckless in the things that you put out there? Is that much better than just lying? To me, we're talking about very similar kind of things here. You know what I mean? Like if somebody, it feels like if somebody is going out of their way to not really like look into the things that are claimed, and then they report on those things, if they really like seem like they're like going out of their way to, oh God, what did I just do? It feels like a kind of dishonesty. It's like a lie without being a lie. Like if you go out of your way to not, and this was my big complaint about Kyle. This has been my complaint about Kyle for a really long time. Is like he is so reckless about the stuff that he just casually says. And the reason why I think he does that is because I think his corner of online politics has become just totally rotten. They all kind of repeat what each other say. Like it's echo chamber stuff. They all see their peers kind of repeating, very casually repeating just like the wildest claims. And these things are just like commonly accepted as just fact. Like none of them seem to do any actual like research at all. Like stuff just shows up on their feed and they just like boom, it's just like they just like accept it, which to me is like wildly irresponsible. Especially like Kyle has a massive platform. Kyle is one of the biggest left-wing voices on YouTube, probably top 10 in terms of like total viewership. Dasvidani with $5. This is the frustrating part to me. Pisco is asking Conduit for sources, not holding Kyle to that standard. That's the other part of it too, that yeah, I was going to get into that as well. That's another like really obvious kind of disparity here. Like you're asking Conduit for sources, but Kyle can just say whatever the fuck he wants willy-nilly, and your brain goes to, well, we don't know that it's a lie. Maybe he knows that it's true. Well, okay, but like, why aren't you asking where Kyle's sources are then? Shouldn't that be relevant to the discussion? Like, I think it's super relevant to the discussion. Like, where's Kyle getting his information that he is then uncritically parroting to his audience? There seems to be no standard for Kyle whatsoever. And I didn't listen to this whole thing. We missed about an hour. Maybe there's some times where he, points that out, or I don't know.
NPR or PBS. By all accounts, he does not, as Kyle says here, need to go through Congress.
Oh, do they have the view of
I need tick pods and pop triggers. Tick pods and pop triggers. Where do I want to go for that? Buried City?
Right. I think they have this interpretation of the Leahy law. That was it, right? Let me see. Leahy law.
Probably Buried City. I also need
Prohibit
sensors.
U.S. Department of State and DOD from providing military assistance to foreign security force units that violate human rights with impunity. Text of the law. In general, no assistance shall be furnished under this act or Arms Export Control Act to any unit of the security forces of a foreign country if the Secretary of State has credible information that such unit has committed a gross violation of human rights. Credible information.
Tick pods and
right. That's their
pop thingamabobs.
That's their theory. Now you can disagree with it, but I don't know that it's a lie.
Pop triggers, tick
It's
pods.
charity for someone that's not done the most important thing, which is vote for Democrats. We're analyzing the video. Can you guys not, if you guys are too emotional to think about the video and analyze it and you want to talk about other things, you guys can like not watch the stream and leave. If you're so emotional and pathetic that you can't stay concentrated. So get the fuck out.
Listen, I'm not the guy to fucking judge for crashing out on viewers, okay? I will get one guide for 2.5 hours and I'll do it fucking all 5 days of the week that I'm streaming.
I'm
just not the guy.
video and your claims of lie. Now, I haven't studied the Leahy law. I'm pretty sure most of you haven't either. You haven't done the legal work. This video doesn't do the analysis. And so you already agree that it's stupid. You already agree that it's a dumb argument. And so of course, oh, he's lying because it's stupid, because I know it's stupid, because I know it's fucking dumb. But we're trying to show that these are malicious actors, right? Isn't that the whole point? Not just that they're out there, out to sea on some issues, such that like we shouldn't work with them to, I don't know, bring about the end of fascism in America. That's the whole point of this, right? That they're malicious. And so lie is actually like, okay, they're lying about stuff. That's, you know.
Electromagnetic storm is currently raging over topside.
You would need to go through Congress in order to do that.
But it creates a new opportunity for Kyle to say that Dems aren't doing enough.
It's not like Democrats are actually acting as a sufficient opposition party, so they're not fucking talking about this. By the way, I like
I'm analyzing the video. Is that Timothy? Isn't your wife like sleeping or some shit? Can't you like? I don't understand why you're still watching. Go be with your wife, right? You can't be on the call.
I mean,
oh my God, he's reading a Twitter.
Is that Conduit's point? But Conduit has his own obligation, right? He's saying Kyle's wrong. So if he just said, well, Kyle doesn't provide any justification for it, that would be, you know, a decent point. Assuming that Kyle hasn't actually analyzed it, right? Assuming that there is no analysis anywhere. And again, that's just me assuming. Maybe Kyle has done an analysis somewhere or cited some legal scholar. I don't fucking know. What I know is that
maybe
this
Conduit
dude hasn't
has
done any kind of like, he hasn't cited any legal thing that says that they're wrong. We're assuming that they're, you know, what argument Kyle could marshal. I have heard some people talk about the Leahy Act, but has he done some sort of like investigation as to what Kyle is referencing and what his legal argument is?
Well, did Kyle explain the Leahy Act and why it applies here? I mean, wouldn't that be equally,
Why can't you fact check it? It's not my fucking job. My job is to analyze the video, dipshit.
Whoa.
Quote in the article, it's inescapable at this.
So now I gotta make a Kyle debunking video. All right, not enough to watch the video that people ask me to watch. Why can't you fact check it? Because I haven't done Leahy Act analysis.
Point.
You're gonna get a peep in mainstream media, but more importantly, you're barely gonna get a peep out of the so-called opposition party, the Democrats. And that is incredibly disturbing and incredibly disgusting.
In the next segment, Kyle talks about Joe Rogan seeming like he regrets his rightward shift given the level of violence being acted by ICE. And it's like, you remember the kids in cages from the first term, right? Some of them might never actually be reunited with their parents because they didn't do anything to keep track of them.
He made his bed, and now he's gonna sleep in it. You rode the wave, and you rode the vibes. It wasn't about policy. It was never about policy, and that's obvious.
Israeli troops, in their withdrawal from Gaza, destroyed a bunch of stuff, including a sewage treatment plant.
Without a doubt, isn't it?
Wait, hang on. Sorry. I'm not following.
By the way, I like what Wajahat Ali says here.
Oh my God, he's reading a Twitter quote in the article.
Is there something wrong with that? What is wrong with if prominent people are on Twitter? What's the problem with reading an article that cites people's words on Twitter? I'm sorry if that triggers you, Conduit. I mean, I don't really understand what's of note about it.
Fuck you, Conduit.
You know, like if Trump tweeted something, like, oh my God, you're taking a Twitter quote right now?
inescapable at this point.
You're gonna get a peep in mainstream media.
It's inescapable. Yeah, if prominent people give their opinions on Twitter, what's wrong with it? If zero of the articles discussing the issue mentioned the illegality, does it become a fair inference that the illegality is not in question? Not if Kyle has a reason to believe, like, to think he's lying, you'd have to think that he doesn't actually have a reason to believe that it's unlawful. And the mere fact that he's showing an article that's planning military assistance there, he could be relying on an understanding. By could, I mean, it's not just that there's a logically possible. What I mean to say
could be, but Kyle never gets into the details.
One of these interpretations that makes it illegal.
Apparently, that's a problem.
Assistance in these kinds of ways to countries that do human rights abuses, because I've heard that before. And whatever is going on, this video doesn't make the claim that he's incorrect. Whatever you want to say about if Kyle is right or wrong, if it's stupid, this video fails to debunk it. Clearly failed.
So it's
no citation
wait,
given whatsoever.
Just to be clear, so it's endless charitability for
Kyle mentioned the Leahy law during Biden's term.
It's endless charitability for Kyle.
Oh my God, he's reading
and
Twitter
zero charitability for
You're gonna get a peep in mainstream media. More importantly, you're barely gonna
Seems
get a
to
peep
be
out of the
the
so-called
But Kyle isn't sourcing that, so how do we know that? Why are we assuming that he is? What I'm saying is, I have sometimes said, right, like, you know, it's illegal for the Venezuela intervention, right? I'm sure in the course of a stream, I haven't gone through the analysis of the war with respect to like some additional fact that happened, right? It's a legal war, it's a whatever, right? And my reference to it offhand doesn't constitute a lie, because in any given instance, I haven't actually explained that rationale if I'm just giving a factual update to the story. And so you have to show more to show that he's lying.
Is charitability not a word? I've been using it for fucking years, bro. You're about to blow my mind.
Douglas, emotional.
opposition party, the Democrats. And that is incredibly disturbing and incredibly disgusting.
In the next segment, Kyle talks about Joe Rogan seeming like he regrets his rightward shift given the level of violence being acted by ICE, and it's like...
Wait, hang on a second. Implying that he isn't?
And incredibly disgusting.
In the next segment, Kyle talks about Joe Rogan seeming like he regrets his rightward shift.
Seeming like he regrets... Oh, that Rogan...
given the level of violence being acted by ICE, and it's like, you remember the kids in cages from the first term, right? Some of them might never actually be reunited with their parents because they didn't do anything to keep track of them.
He made his bed, and now he's gonna sleep in it. You rode the wave, and you rode the vibes. It wasn't about policy.
Visual, what's up, buddy? Spending all this time picking apart sentences and words, fails to see the whole picture.
Was it Trump, associated on Trump?
It's never about policy.
The whole is more
Israeli troops
than
and
the
their
sum of
withdrawal
its
from Gaza
parts.
destroyed a bunch of stuff, including a sewage treatment plant.
Yeah.
I don't know how that relates to the Joe Rogan thing.
Without a doubt, is an attempt to continue to
I
make
don't think
Gaza
it does.
completely and utterly unlivable. So they have to leave, so Israel can
So this is like thank you for the raid. This is like a transition to some other point.
steal all of the territory.
Yeah, he's
no
just,
idea if there's some justifiable context surrounding it, given
he's
the pictures
just
they took on
relaying
one
what
planet,
he
but there isn't any.
watched.
This was a stupid and egregious action, not just because there are now no operational sewage treatment plants in Gaza, but now the sewage that will most likely get dumped into the Mediterranean will just end up contaminating Israeli beaches. And I unfortunately have to give Randgrim credit for having pointed that out later in the week. I hope Israel actually punishes these soldiers for the additional suffering they've now caused, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
This is the reality of what
that in just a
Palestinians
minute.
are returning to. I have a fucking bridge to tell you if you're dumb enough to think, oh, this was defensive and they were only going after Hamas. If you actually believe that, you might be the dumbest person on the planet. Because there's about 30,000 Hamas members, and there were over 2 million people in Gaza. But somehow you blew up
pop
80 to
triggers
90%
and
of all of the
tick
buildings in
pods.
Gaza. And we're supposed to believe this was super.
It really does feel like this could use a lot more structure and organization. And frankly,
wait, no, you're not.
I do take issue with it. I think that it's relying on on assumptions.
He's just reading what he watched.
Conclusory in nature.
He's just like listing what he watched.
Super targeted and defense.
And it's also not showing malicious conduct.
Which is Persona. What's up? I'll get to those in just a minute.
If you want more clarification, I want to watch the whole thing, and if he wants to jump on afterwards, you can. I think it's conclusory. I think that it's there are a lot of bare assertions, and it's not showing the kind of malicious bad conduct that would cause me to I don't know, to feel like, oh wow, oh my god.
Against Hamas.
30,000 people with guns and the ability to force other people to work with those guns and 2 decades to operate are actually extremely capable of outfitting the majority of buildings in Gaza with traps and supplies that would need to be destroyed. They have talked about this. This isn't a conspiracy. The intention of Hamas was to draw Israel into Gaza, get them to destroy everything, and turn the world against Israel so that they can force everyone there to leave if they can't just kill them. You might think that's crazy, and you'd be correct. The leaders of Hamas are religious authoritarian extremists. They are crazy.
They're
That doesn't
fucking
absolve Israel of
lunatics.
actually doing it, but it also means that Hamas played an active role in its destruction as well, and the people who suffer for it are the Palestinian civilians who could just as easily set off the booby traps left for IDF soldiers if they aren't dealt with.
Let's also say this. If anybody is celebrating at this moment when this is what has already happened to Gaza, that takes a special kind of sickness.
Yes, I will celebrate that these people are not dead. From Gaza, we go up to Lebanon for the Israeli strikes occurring there.
Are you shitting me? That is a bad faith interpretation of what he's saying. What he's saying is, don't celebrate the ceasefire.
Hold on.
World against Israel so that they can force everyone there to leave if they can't just kill them. You might think that's crazy, and you'd be correct. The leaders of Hamas are religious authoritarian extremists. They are crazy. That doesn't absolve Israel of actually doing it, but it also means that Hamas played an active role in its destruction as well, and the people who suffer for it are the Palestinian civilians who could just as easily set off the booby traps left for IDF soldiers if they aren't dealt with.
Let's also say this. If anybody is celebrating at this moment when this is what has already happened to Gaza, that takes a special kind of sickness.
Yes, I will celebrate that these people are not dead. From Gaza, we go up to Lebanon for the Israeli strikes occurring there.
Are you shitting me? That is a bad faith interpretation of what he's saying.
No, he's not. Oh, ow. Get off
What
me,
he's saying
Damon.
is, don't celebrate the ceasefire. Like, have some recognition for how horrible, how like this is.
No, he's not saying that's what Kyle said.
That's clearly what he's trying to communicate here.
No, but
is,
he's not saying that's what Kyle
be
said,
measured
though.
in your celebration. That's at least the clip. That's the context we have from it.
He's not saying that
Yes, I
Kyle
will
said
celebrate
don't be
these people
happy
are
that
not
these.
dead. From Gaza, we go up to Lebanon.
You're acting as though maybe you think this. Maybe you think Kyle Kalinske does not give a shit about the Palestinian people. Maybe you feel that.
For the Israeli strikes occurring there.
A journalist was on the ground in these towns where residents are attempting to return to their towns amid constant drone attacks. So it's not really a ceasefire. It's you cease and we fire.
Once again, this kind of reporting omits that Hezbollah, the group that has been ordered by the UN and the actual government of Lebanon to disarm, but still refuses to, will violently come down on anyone who does not toe the line on their narrative about Israel. Before even getting into the
How does that refute what he's saying?
And we fire.
Once again, this kind of reporting omits that Hezbollah, the group that has been ordered by the UN and the actual government of Lebanon to disarm, but still refuses to, will violently come down on anyone who does not. Hezbollah, the group that has been ordered by the UN.
Ceasefire. It's you cease and we fire.
Once again, this kind of reporting omits that Hezbollah, the group that has been ordered.
How is that responsive to the claim that the ceasefire is not effective?
No, it's responsive to the claim that Israel alone is responsible for the ceasefire being broken.
A journalist was on the ground in these towns where residents are attempting to return to their towns amid constant drone attacks. So it's not really a ceasefire. It's you cease and we fire.
Once again, this kind of reporting omits that Hezbollah, the group that has been ordered by the UN and the actual government of Lebanon to disarm, but still refuses to, will violently come down on anyone who does not toe the line on their narrative about Israel.
Yeah, that's internal to Lebanon. That's not what Kyle is talking about. Kyle is talking about the ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel. That ignores that Hezbollah is under international and Lebanon and under the authority of the Lebanese government. They're required to do other things. That's not responsive. It's a non sequitur. But that's not a. Does that constitute a violation of the ceasefire as between Israel and Hezbollah? The fact that Hezbollah is in violation of other, conventions or other laws? It seems like a ceasefire presupposes the ability to fire. Almost it's like I just don't understand how that's responsive. Seems like a different thing.
Before even getting into
like, is he
No, Conduit was saying that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've been half paying attention, but Conduit was saying that Kyle is entirely blaming the breaking of the ceasefire with Hezbollah on Israel, instead of acknowledging the role that Hezbollah plays in escalating tensions. Am I right about that, right? Did I get that wrong? Yes, that is my point. Okay, gotcha. And but Pisco is saying that Conduit said what now?
Required to do other things. That's not responsive. It's a non sequitur. But that's not a. Does that constitute a violation of the ceasefire as between Israel and Hezbollah? The fact that Hezbollah is in violation of other, conventions or other laws? It seems like a ceasefire presupposes the ability to fire. Almost it's like I just don't understand how that's responsive.
To be honest, I'm a little lost. I don't really.
Before even getting into
like, is he irresponsible for not mentioning that Hezbollah also, should be disarmed under international agreements? that's like irresponsible when he's commenting on the relation between the Israeli strikes and the Israeli government and Hezbollah and Lebanon. Like, it doesn't seem that there's anything wrong with omitting that in that context, if it's not the focus of what you're talking about.
Well, it creates the perception of a completely one-sided dynamic, where it's just Israel that is causing, you know, that particular violence or that particular violent conflict with Hezbollah. Right?
Yeah, maybe Hezbollah is breaking the agreement of the ceasefire.
Camp, thanks so much for 18 months. Witch's Persona with $5. Peace goes focused too much on the intent and not the impact. The impact is lower voter turnout because both sides bad. Old Scotty with $10. This is a perfect example of the issue with Pisco's approach towards leftists. When he disagrees with Kyle, Pisco softly mumbles disagreements. When he disagrees with Conduit, he vigorously attacks it. Visual Abstract with $5. Spending all this time picking apart sentences and words fails to see the whole picture. I think I already got you for that. Trib with $2. Would you watch this with Pisco? Yes or no? Oh, I don't. That would be like a 15-hour stream. Slate King with $2. Is this abnormal behavior for Pisco? Nope. Well, I don't know if I've ever watched him react to a video. Dazvidania with $5. I think I already got you for that. Edonic with $5. Pisco called me a dipshit and read my comment in Arsler voice. LOL. I don't think it was called for, but I felt seen, I guess. And I think I'm caught up there.
But that's not what he just said, right? These are points that he could have raised. I'm just examining with the video we have. Steelman Conduit. All right. That Hezbollah also bad. Yeah, you're saying Israel bad for violating ceasefire, but you didn't say Hezbollah also bad. That's the Steelman?
No. Well, not quite, but I mean, sure, yeah, and I guess in a really kind of base level.
I truly don't know.
To disarm, but still refuses to, will violently come down on anyone who does not toe the line on their narrative about Israel. Before even getting in...
He's saying it's not quite honest and doesn't quite tell the full picture. To frame it as one-sided as he did. That's what he's saying.
To the substance, the first reply to Ryan's tweet that Kyle's looking at is not great. Kyle says Israel is collaborating with ISIS-affiliated gangs in Gaza to steal aid and continue fighting Hamas so they can abide the ceasefire.
Literally, ISIS-affiliated gangs. I'm not kidding. ISIS-affiliated gangs.
I remember this,
Almost.
actually.
Israel is arming groups in Gaza, and they all have their own individual...
Israel is arming...
affiliated gangs. I'm not kidding. ISIS-affiliated gangs.
Almost.
Inside the Israel-backed militia.
Israel is arming groups in Gaza, and they all have their own individual issues with extremism and criminality, even as they're opposed to Hamas. Netanyahu has admitted to doing it and has been called out for it, given that it is reminiscent of their last strategy to keep the Palestinians divided. But the ISIS affiliation is tenuous at best. One group led by Yasser Abu Shabab is claimed to have ISIS connections, while Shabab was a narcotic smuggler, but I have not been able to verify them and have seen nothing to indicate that those ties would still be active. But more importantly,
ISIS affiliated. Okay.
I haven't been able to find anything tying any other groups to ISIS. From what I can tell, this claim emerged from an Israeli minister vaguely mentioning ISIS connections when revealing that Netanyahu was arming the gangs to the press. This is why you don't use Twitter as a source.
Okay, let me just do my little Israel funding ISIS affiliated gangs.
Psycho Games with $10. Just a reminder that Pisco thinks The Last of Us 2 story is good. That should say enough as is. I destroyed him in a debate about Last of Us 2 on my channel. It's the latest video. Just for the record, I fucking love The Last of Us 2. So you, sir, can get fucked. Thank you so much for the $10. I appreciate the generosity. And then, wow, who just donated 10 memberships? What the fuck? Trib, thank you so much for 10 gifted memberships. Holy crap. Speed Glass with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Hope you guys have a good weekend. I'm gonna go shoot my fucking gun again here in a little bit. As is my Second Amendment right.
Or Abu Shabab? Abu Shabab.
I don't know if I need so many of these arc circuitries. I think we can probably sell a bunch of those. Antiseptic.
Oh. So an opposition lawmaker claimed it and he took it as fact. All right, this feels like the first
ISIS connections,
like big mistake.
Currently, actions.
The first?
Even as
Wait, hang on.
Almost. Israel's on
Wait,
fire.
hang on a
Literally,
minute.
ISIS affiliated gangs. I'm not kidding.
The
ISIS
first?
affiliated gangs.
Okay, yeah, that's a bare allegation. This is bad for Kyle to just accept.
Dazwadine with $2. I debate Hutch on Kojima being a bad storyteller. To be honest with you, I couldn't. I mean, I can tell you the story of Death Stranding broadly, but once we start getting into the specifics about like this character and why they have this thing going on, and there's a guy with a fucking his heart stops every fucking 5 minutes, and you know, like, and Ellie Fanning shows up and she's got fucking superpowers. Where the fuck did she come from? Like, I can't give you any of the particulars there, but I can kind of give you like the broad strokes of like the Death Stranding event, you know, beach things, like, you know, the porters and like what his mission is in the game. I did not finish Expedition 33. No, I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to though is Crimson Desert. Ooh, that game looks powerful and sexual. Have you guys seen that game? That game looks fucking good.
The claim, if that's, but again, that's assuming that's the basis of it. But yeah, that's bad.
Almost. Israel is arming groups in Gaza, and they all have their own individual issues with extremism and criminality, even as they're opposed to Hamas. Netanyahu has admitted doing it and has been called out for it, given that it is reminiscent of their last strategy to keep the Palestinians divided. But the ISIS affiliation is tenuous at best. One group led by Yasser Abu Shabab.
Yeah, I mean, the first that I care about is like the journalistic stuff, lies, the like issues that get to like the reporting quality and stuff, or they're like I don't know, competence and shit like that. That's what I care about. It's like not necessarily like the values question, the normative question on Israel Palestine. You know, they think differently than I do. What I'm looking for are the kinds of criticisms that lead one to believe that they're acting in bad faith. That's what I'm looking for. But again, that seems like I'm, you know,
if someone is constantly, persistently relaying information that is just very thinly sourced, or sometimes Kyle just like totally, or he'll just accept things at face value without any kind of research, or he'll jump to wild conclusions based on bad information. When somebody does that, like for as long as he's been doing it, which is years now, I feel okay calling that person bad faith.
Oh.
To be clear, I think Crystal can be pretty good. I think with Crystal, it's much more of a mixed bag. With Kyle, pretty pervasive behavior from him.
A bias there. That's like a bias. The first, Jesus. Yeah. First. What other one? Other than things you just like disagree with on like policy.
Shabab is claimed to have ISIS connections, while Shabab was a narcotics smuggler, but I have not been able to verify them and have seen nothing to indicate that those ties would still be active. But more importantly, I haven't been able to find anything tying any other groups to ISIS. From what I can tell, this claim emerged from an Israeli minister vaguely mentioning ISIS connections when revealing that Netanyahu was arming the gangs to the press. This is why you don't use Twitter as a source.
So, yet again, I'm correct. Aid is on the way. Bon appetit. And it's literally a missile.
That is gross. Then he talks about Bill Burr performing at a comedy show in Riyadh.
You know, doing a little jig for them. Doing some little tap dance for them. You like this, Massa? You feel comfortable?
No, now I feel really uncomfortable, actually. Lastly, Kyle goes over the $200 million crypto short, most likely pulled by someone with insider information of Trump's Chinese tariff announcement.
This is what we like to call insider trading. But, of course, crime is now legal, so they're going to get away with it. Everybody just feels like nothing matters anymore. And so, just like, it is what it is.
I don't think
and
you're helping
sorry, man,
with
but
that.
That's the mindset that
I don't think Kyle helps with that.
On Trump?
To hell. Like, things have to matter. We have to care. We have to, you know, log these things and then eventually hold these fuckers accountable.
Day 2, Kyle, in the...
Base. See, that's the stuff I care more about, actually. I actually care more about protecting our country. Call me crazy. That seems like more important to me.
Back.
Let's start with China.
Trump, in what was likely an Adderall-fueled bender, decided that China was being mean, and so he decided that there would be 100% tariffs.
Trump saying, quote, everything will be fine. It's not exactly the confidence boost.
Congressional Republicans nowhere to be found as Trump unconstitutionally usurps their authority. And we're looking at Twitter to go into what China mean, and so he decided that there would be in the bag.
Let's start with China.
Trump, in what was likely an Adderall-fueled bender, decided that China was being mean, and so he decided that there would be 100% tariffs.
Trump saying, quote, everything will be fine. It's not exactly the confidence boost.
Congressional Republicans nowhere to be found as Trump unconstitutionally usurps their authority. And we're looking at Twitter to go into what China's strategy is for dealing with Trump and his nonsense.
Who's Arnud Bertrand? Arnud.
Don't shoot.
Arnud Bertrand.
Oh shit.
The fuck is this person? This is like a big Twitter account. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page, but maybe he's a China expert. I don't know. He does have an X.
Maybe he's a
Bertrand.
China
It says,
expert.
Entrepreneur. Oh no, previously House TripAdvisor.
Uh-oh.
I don't know the context in which this is brought up, but yeah,
Uh-oh.
I mean, this doesn't look like an administration person.
Uh-oh.
That's obnoxious unless there's a context which makes this acceptable.
So now they're in a position where they can play this, what he describes as the rare earth card.
And here's where the China glazing starts. Crystal here reaches for every word to explain how China has been pivoting to state capitalism, without specifically saying state capitalism.
The promise and the peril of a more
Russian Iranian bot, probably.
It's not impossible.
Should we
It's
look at
not.
this account?
I mean, honestly, it's not off
One
the
sec.
table. You
Let's
know.
have a little.
Like,
I need a break from this fucking shit. Sorry.
wait, you
Sorry,
need to break from the
Listen, no
shit.
hard feelings. I don't like this.
You need to break from the shit to research something that you found to be kind of compelling, which is like, wow, this source looks really bad.
Because and maybe it's because I have bad expectations. Because what I'm expecting is something that's like relevant to. All right, I'm gonna reassess. All right, what was I expecting?
What were you expecting?
So we just came off of that Live and Learn panel, and I was expecting something that like spoke to that. And so maybe that's on me.
Wait, I said that
And so
Kyle
I'm
was
coming at it from like this is actually like trying to contest the position on Israel or something, as opposed to further the point that Hutch was making, because I don't think it's done that. And so
that he's reckless.
There could be an aspect of hair block unfair expectations, where I'm like imposing on it like all the annoying fucking losers, and thinking that this is like their masterpiece, that this is like the thing that's supposed to convince me or something.
What the fuck? Why is it going so hard on Conduit?
I should be aware of that. So just, you know, in fairness. Okay, let's take a look at this dude's Twitter account and then we'll go back to
Annoying fucking Conduit? Wait, what did Conduit do?
Iran's foreign minister.
What, in tarnation?
The opposite of what Chairman Xi said. What is this guy saying? The fuck? Who is this dude? Is this guy a bot? Wait, how do we tell they're like where they're from? Can we do that? Followed by Chuck Todd.
So he's looking into the source that Conduit pointed out was really bad. It sounds like
shit.
it sounds like he agrees. It's a really bad source. Which then you surely you would have to concede that that's a strong kind of supporting piece of evidence that Conduit's premise is correct, right? Like that strongly supports. That strongly supports the premise that
planned economy.
We are not even halfway through.
Chinese
The
are actually doing
Conduit
this
is getting
extremely
to,
well.
right?
You know, the amount, when you look at the number of people who've been lifted out of poverty over the past number of decades, overwhelmingly, that
Momentum is I don't know. It's a bot. We just needed to do our due diligence. But I don't know what. Like the thing is,
the promise and the peril.
You can stack more than 3 duckies now?
Because the Chinese are executing this extremely well. You know, the amount, when you look at the number of people who've been lifted out of poverty over the past
I want to know the context in which our nude came up.
number of decades, overwhelmingly, that is because of growth in China. Like the number of their rapid economic growth and the number of their own people that they've been able to lift out of poverty is truly like one of the great economic miracles in history. They were
Glazing China. I don't like this, Crystal. We hate authoritarianism.
Rejected the path that we, pushed on like the former Soviet Union of like this neoliberal shock doctrine. Saw that did not go well, and understood the global international system well enough to basically sort of use it.
I don't think his chat's gonna like that.
Although, the China miracle, I don't know enough about the economy of China to like contradict this. So I hope that the video has prepared that this is like an overstatement or like overpraise, if that's what they're trying to say.
So they've been able to accomplish something that is extraordinary because it's been driven by the top.
Then they talk about the government shutdown leading to Trump and the Project 2025 writer Russ Vought cutting a ton of government.
So I don't like China glaze, but I don't know that that's untrue what was just said. Just to be clear, I'm telling you facts, factual facts.
Jobs, and it's weird. They do say the Democrats have a better position in this fight since the base is behind it and they have effective leverage, but they can't help going in on them anyway.
From the perspective of like average normie Democrat, it's starting to look dire for how Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, if I
hell yeah, I mean this is true.
were average normie Democrat, I would have zero confidence in either Chuck Schumer.
100%. Have no problem with that. That is based. I say this.
Or Hakeem Jeffries at this point at all, both on the politics and on the substance.
They certainly.
Yeah, they cited a bot piece. I don't know why or how they cited it, right? But I doubt it's good. I'm gonna assume that that's like that. They did it to be like, oh, this is an interesting point.
Reckless?
In which case, I'm like, okay, we should know who these people are that are making these interesting points.
Would you say it's reckless?
It's not just like.
Did you say it's
like,
reckless?
Imagine me saying like, I think it's different when it's a streamer. I'm like, oh, the Trib made a good point, or Undead Logic said something cool, or James Butler said something. I think it's different for breaking points where it's like, you expect to see a take of like a foreign policy person, and actually. That's why I have this kind of like sometimes negative view of Dave Smith. Now, it shouldn't stand to reason that I think, oh, credentialism, that's so important, all that stuff. But like, we do want to know that the people who are offering their opinions a little bit about their background. I think. Like where they're coming from, right?
Yeah.
But I don't take the view of like, but you've never been. Like, I'm not that kind of person, but I do think that like, if you're on a news show, like who is this person? Who is Aboud? Whatever. I think that should be discussed at least.
Feel pressure from their base, like y'all gotta stand up, you gotta do something, and then
they look so dumb when they're trying to stand up. Like
I mean, I also agree with this. That some like, I started this stream with like, we will win, and they're so aroused. I think if you're speaking about the leadership, I think that's true, and it's even true of Hakeem Jeffries, who I think comes off as like. Sometimes he comes off as affable, and like there was a very good CNN after something happened, either at Mamdani's election. I think after the election day, I thought Hakeem Jeffries did a really good job on CNN. But oftentimes Jeffries like seems like an alien. Like he has this cadence to him, which is halfway between. I don't know how you describe it. It's like very rehearsed. It feels very rehearsed. It feels very monotone at times. A lot of these like very like sharp movements. I don't know. It just doesn't feel
bless you.
I don't know. It's not the most charismatic in my opinion.
Yeah, they're not great at it.
Just trust the Republican Party, let those subsidies lapse, pay double.
Yasser Abu Shabab. Oh no, sorry. I was talking about the the account from East Asia.
Your monthly premiums, everything's great. Like that is an insane argument to make.
Yeah.
On the other hand, for Republicans to come to the table with Democrats on healthcare subsidies for non-citizens is also like Republicans are not going to do that.
It's a good thing Democrats haven't supported that then. For years already, Medicaid has been obligated to cover
non-citizens. An argument to make.
Yeah.
On the other hand, for Republicans to come to the table with Democrats on healthcare subsidies for non-citizens is also like Republicans are not going to do that.
It's a good thing Democrats haven't supported that then. For years already, Medicaid has been obligated.
Oh, now this guy's making a mistake.
To cover any life-threatening emergency that people come to a hospital with, regardless of their legal status. Supported that then.
With Democrats on healthcare subsidies for non-citizens.
What's the mistake?
Is also, like, Republicans are not going to do that.
It's a good thing Democrats.
Okay, so mistake. This is talking about undocumented immigrants, not non-citizens.
Wait a second. Wasn't there overlap there? Wasn't that the point?
And Democrats do support federal funding for lawfully present immigrants.
Republicans to come to the table with Democrats on healthcare subsidies for non-citizens is
yeah. So Democrats do support that.
Also, like Republicans are not going to do that.
Wait, no.
Democrats haven't supported that then.
No.
Democrats do support that because Democrats support subsidies for lawful permanent residents lawful permanent residents are non-citizens. QED.
I think the context there was very obvious, like what they were going for, and they weren't kind of getting into that specific. Okay. I need ticks. Where do I find ticks?
Someone tell me if I'm wrong.
I think they
So
when
debunked,
they said
right?
no, they said non-citizens, but
That was
I feel
wrong.
like they were obviously talking about undocumented
Claim
migrants.
that Emily said that Democrats support healthcare for undocumented immigrants, or at least that's the implication. She didn't say that.
That's what she meant. She said non-citizens.
She said
but
non-citizens.
That's what she
Pay double in your monthly premiums. Everything's like, that is an
obviously
insane
what she
argument
meant.
to make.
Yeah.
On the other hand, for Republicans to come to the table with Democrats on healthcare subsidies for non-citizens is also like Republicans are not going to do that.
It's a good thing Democrats haven't supported that then. For
They do.
years already, Medicaid has been obligated to cover any life-threatening emergency that people come to a hospital with, regardless of their legal status.
I was gonna say like with it's the same thing with what we're talking.
I mean, it's level 1. Is he had the talking point and just didn't listen to what Emily said.
I think Emily was obviously
the tariff
meaning
policy
to
earlier
say
in the show, which is like, in
undocumented
theory,
immigrants.
There's a way to do this that's coherent and makes sense and would be a bitter pill for the neoliberals to swallow. And in the same way with like the theory of Doge could be a bitter pill for like the I don't know, the federal unions to swallow and the quote swamp to swallow.
We already had federal audits for government waste and corruption. That's part of why they didn't actually find any.
Oh, wait, I should mention Chuck Schumer had.
Oh yeah, but Emily's she's a Republican. She's like a fucking, she's a conservative Republican. Sorry, I'm yelling at him like, I'm really yelling at all those loser fucks on Wick's panel. Like the 5 people I heard are like, I didn't think Fisco. It's, oh my God. At some point we have to get to that because I'm gonna be yeah. So I mean, you can go after Emily for whatever.
Another just completely idiotic tweet where he said like riff Russell vote. It's like this is Dem leadership right now. It is so pathetic.
It is pathetic. I really do think our Dem leadership is pathetic in Congress.
Not judge your representatives by their ability to get Twitter dunks. Marjorie Taylor Greene appeared on a podcast.
Actually, I think that we do look at metrics like that, like fucking Gavin Newsom. All of us fucking Dem faithful, we get very. Although
Gavin Newsom's running for president.
It's losing a little bit of its luster. I'm just going to be honest.
He's running.
And in
He's running
fact,
for a
I wanna
national
go
race.
A little further. It's a little grating nowadays, but we were very excited, and at least in general, we think it's cooler that Gavin Newsom's tweets are more based, right? And in fact, we were a little bit upset when like Gavin kind of apologized. I still haven't watched. I have to watch it for the whatever for some of their baseness. So actually, yeah.
Because she wasn't a total loony bird, I guess that means we should take her seriously now?
Even if some of MAGA's kind of quote drain the swamp policies are ideologically defensible or coherent from a
Holy
populist perspective,
fucking
the
shit!
execution of them is it's process versus direction. And when the process is annoying Marjorie Taylor Greene,
It's not annoying her. She doesn't care. She is and will always be a QAnon conspiracy theorist who harassed school shooting survivors.
I 100% agree with that. And I actually think it's disgusting that people like Cenk Uygur and TYT kind of make these apologies for Marjorie Taylor Greene. In fact, I just saw Marjorie Taylor Greene today, like saying the election was stolen and all this shit. And so fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene. Fuck Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is a useless, worthless person, a person that you deserve to like, you deserve a world in which the Marjorie Taylor Greenes.
What are you doing there, bud?
Don't have even a whiff at any power ever again. That's
fuck
how
is-
loathsome
what is that thing?
Marjorie Taylor Greene is. She is one of the worst politicians. And whenever populists, and I think it's less these people, to be honest, I think it's more TYT, they try to sell you on.
Okay, you know, I think we kind of got the gist of that. That was a little frustrating. Might watch a little bit more of it off stream, and then maybe me and Pisco can talk about it on Sunday. Man, that was a really fun. I feel like that was a really good week of streaming, guys. It was a really fun week of streaming. Vishy, thank you so much for the gifted sub. I really like the groove that we're in with these streams. I don't know what, something got activated in me. No, this isn't a 3-hour stream though. I started at 9:30, so that would have been a 5-hour stream. I don't know what activated in me. Well, I do. It's called Vivance. But now all of a sudden I have these like energy for these like longer streams. I did want to make some time today to go to the range and shoot my gun a little bit more. Take a walk, get some food. Breadmaster with $5. Did I hallucinate it, or did everyone forget Kyle doing Assad apologia back in 2014? I wasn't really following him back then, so I have no idea. Dosvidani with $2. Arnaud is a real person, but he's a CCP shill. Hedonic Samuel with $5. I said this in Connor's chat earlier. We have to remember Kyle made that based Bean tweet. Credit there. The Bean tweet was good. I'm not gonna say it was not a good tweet. Tim the Blair with $5. Last of Us 2 hate is so forced. Yeah, I'm so convinced that people saw the leaked cutscene where the thing happened and jumped to all kinds of conclusions about some of the characters and then by the time the game came out, like, I remember that game came out, I think during COVID, right? Like, I got to play through The Last of Us 1 like 2 months before The Last of Us 2 came out. That's when I played through The Last of Us 1. So I only had to wait like 2 months to play the follow-up. I feel bad for everybody that played the first one and then had to wait, what was it, like 8 years? 7 years or something? But that was my experience, and I'm glad that it happened that way. But I remember The Last of Us 2 making me feel emotions that no game had ever... I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like Last of Us 2 made me feel emotions that no game has ever made me feel, and few movies make me feel. Especially the last like fight. And I won't say what the fight is, but the last fight was an unbearable experience for me. I was so emotionally involved with both of those characters that the fight was brutal, you know, because the game is kind of forcing you to do certain things. And it was like, it was so brutal and unbearable. And afterwards I reflected on it and I was like, man, there's no game that's ever got me like that fucking emotionally involved in the story. Neil Druckmann said Israelis shouldn't die and was instantly labeled a Zionist. Oh boy. Yeah, that's a whole other angle to the discourse around The Last of Us 2 is his experience growing up in Israel and the game being a bit of a metaphor for what's happening in Israel. That just brings out a whole other kind of angle of craziness when it comes to the commentary about that game. Yeah. Who are supposed to be the Palestinians in Last of Us 2? Is it the... Fuck. I forgot, man. But yeah, no, that I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like a direct allegory. And he's just openly talked about the symbolism. The scars, that's yeah. The scars, I think, are meant to be the Palestinians, and I think the Israelis are supposed to be whatever the faction is with the guy who played Jeffrey Wright, his character, the Fireflies. Yeah. Wait, is Jeffrey Wright's character a Firefly? Who are the Fireflies again? Is Abby a Firefly? I don't remember. I don't remember. But yeah, it's definitely in part an allegory of all that. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate it. I will be live on Sunday at the regular time. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see. Excuse me. I will see you guys on. Sunday. Yeah. Sunday will not be a long stream. I'm going to the range again on Sunday with Supreme. We're gonna fire some guns. I'm gonna shoot my new gun. But yeah, I'll see you on Sunday. Bye bye.